Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is just Dell, just like Lunar said there, playing the guitar. No, well, I'm just sitting here. I was, messing around earlier on with a strange little box that I got, and I've incorporated it in with the echo. And I just had the guitar sitting here beside me. I was like taking a break from playing, and I just rubbed my finger. I'm going, that sounds weird. So I just sort of rubbing my fingers off it here. Whilst also having a smoke. And what I was going to do was just actually play. It came up in a conversation. I was on Fakeologist's forum there, yesterday, and we came up in conversation about this old show that I remember watching in the sort of 90s, and it was called For the Love of, and then there was various different titles then. For the Love of, like, for example, the one I'm going to play, Lunar Conspiracies. And it was basically a late night type forum. This guy, Ron Johnson, it was in the good old days, man, late 80s, early 90s. People could still smoke on television, sitting around on couches, pretty much like a Google Hangout, but a live situation, Although what's live, it's coming from Channel 4. But yeah, so I'm just going to wait for another few minutes, and I'll just say a good old call out. How are you, Teddy Carroll? And the lunatic. I hate saying lunatic, but anyway, night. John Watson, good to see you, man. John's been holding the fort there. He's been playing a few hangouts there. Trying to keep it real. Too much bullshit out there, and frankly, I'm fed up looking at really am. So, all right, Loon. You can call me Del or Joe. That's just freaky. You're just sitting there hitting off the little guitar. That's disingenuous, really, isn't it? But I was taking a break anyway from practicing and having a go at it. So I might just play this now without further ado. You know, a few people here now, and I'm looking forward to watching this myself because I haven't seen it in a long time, and I'd like to watch it with the eyes I have now. And I hope anyone that's watching it there will enjoy it. And the chat there, if I'm not responding all the time, I'm sorry. I'm probably watching it and enjoying it. But the chat room's also free speech, as long as there's no abuse. And that's all I want to say on that one. So disagree, but disagree in the best possible taste. And anyway, there's a few spanners in there that'll sort out any, chancers. So let me get the old psychedelic guitar going again to get everyone all psyched out. I'm only joking. But yeah, there's a nice sort of a continuous sustain off this little box I got, and it has all these different multi-layers, but it's basically a phaser with some bells and whistles on it, and I couldn't resist it. Like, it was only $28 American. Who worked that one out? But it's fucking weird. That's literally just scraping my finger along the D string, against the grain, so to speak, along where it's wound. And it sounds like, it had a metal slide or something on it. Good evening to Rollo. He ain't no feckin' lord. He's a nice dude, though. But he's supposed to be on holidays until September the 11th. But he's obviously still... Goddamn aliens. They're coming from Australia, I tell you. Oh, bloody hell. I have to pick it up now. Ugh. This is just as new to me, or to ye, as it is to me. This weird effect. And I've picked the guitar up, and now I've lost my plectrum, so I'll just mess around with it with me nails. There's that weird sound. I'll turn the echo off for a second, and you might hear what I'm talking about. guitar's been drinking. Oh, that's a bit too out of tuney and weird. Sounds like a guitar in a fucking haunted house. It's spooky. It's a spooky sound, actually, isn't it? Thanks, people. It's not too loud or anything like that. It's not too distorted or weirdy. It's a lighter in the air. Thanks, Lisa, but you don't have to go that far now. Come on. Dell holds lighter down to the ground looking for plectrum, which cannot be found. But just keep on going anyway. Right. Let me turn off that weird spooky sound. Or maybe just leave it and see what happens, you know? Is you got in your line is nothing done. You said love was a bummer from the day that you were born. You were not the only one. If you could only see to be caught up in the crossfire of this heartbreaking disease with the love you spare. River, rising river, tree of dreams. Whatever reason you're in, self to carry on. Take the reins of your glad van, put it back where it belongs. Good feeling as it envelops you again. Life renewed and your dreams are start again. Cause I love you spare. River, cross a river, tree your dream. Love you stay. River, cross a river, tree your dream. There's a river to your dream. I need my plectrum back. U2 on acid, Definitely trying to put that down for a few minutes. And time to go into For the Love of Lunar Conspiracies now, I think. If there's anybody still here after all that. You know, you can have a kind of a high tolerance level of craziness, but anyway, I am going to play this now. I hope you enjoy.
Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin never landed on the moon. Nobody's ever landed on the moon. The whole thing has been faked in a television studio. Out of all the conspiracy theories, this is possibly the most cogent, with hard photographic evidence and motives ranging from the nebulous to the persuasive. My guests tonight swear by it. Wool has been pulled over the world's eyes for 30 years, which you'll agree is a tremendous and possibly very sinister amount of wool.
I'm David Percy. I'm a filmmaker and professional photographer, and have evidence that the visual record of the Apollo moon landings was both faked and encoded with the means by which we could detect these fakes.
I'm Barry Reynolds, originally a firm believer in the moon landings, now carefully reconsidering and evaluating the evidence, both for and against.
My name's Matthew Williams. I'm a believer in the paranormal. I used to be a skeptic, but one thing I don't believe in is that NASA has told us the truth about the moon missions.
My name is Marcus Allen. It's not a matter of belief in the moon landings, it's a matter of looking at the evidence. The evidence does not support the belief that man landed on the moon.
My name is Andy Thomas, and I'm a writer and a lecturer on the paranormal. And I believe there are persuasive clues to suggest that many of the NASA photographs of the moon landings have been tampered with or even fabricated.
My name is Mary Bennett, and during my research I have found serious evidence to suggest that Apollo astronauts did not actually set foot on the lunar surface.
Maybe I can start with you, Mary. Can you explain exactly what has happened over the last 30 years? Has nobody ever landed on the moon?
I wouldn't say that nobody has ever landed on the moon. I would say that the American Apollo astronauts that we have been led to believe landed on the moon during the Apollo space program did not, could not have done. And I will be prepared to eat my hat on this one, should I be shown to be wrong.
Mm-hmm. And where does this come from? Why do you think this never happened?
Firstly, because the photographic proof and various other hard scientific facts demonstrate that with the technology available at that time, it's highly doubtful that they would have been able to do that.
So let's start at the beginning. The space shuttle took off. We also
Yes, I must correct you. The space shuttle is recent. It was a Saturn V rocket.
Mm-hmm. So the rocket it took off. I mean, it definitely took off.
We saw it take off, and NASA has said, yes, we did.
There were a lot
of
people.
Well,
we all saw the rocket take off.
Earth's surface.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yes.
So I assume that the rocket took off and then landed somewhere where nobody was looking.
Well, a scenario could be that the craft took off with the astronauts in the capsule, because if anything should happen by way of a disaster at launch, we would want to see, unfortunately, the remains of the astronauts on board. But what could happen is that the craft would take off, the capsule will go into orbit. After all, that's a tried and tested way of getting into space, but it's only very low space. It's not real space.
Well, we
It's
see
only
it going a
200
long
miles
way up.
We see it
and it's
going a long
one
way
shot.
up. That's right. We see it going a long way up, out of sight.
Is out of mind.
That's right. The capsule can then orbit, and then there is no reason at all why it shouldn't land in the Pacific until the time when allegedly they are returning from the moon, and the capsule then can be put back into orbit and dropped down. Now, what happened in between, of course, is what we're going to discuss today.
I mean, the point is that why would they want to fake it? And that's what the question people would ask. But I mean, it was so politically important at the time to get men on the moon, to beat Russia, be the first on the moon, that really when you've got those high stakes that anything could go wrong, and there's a million things that could go wrong, and as they say, not one thing went wrong, everything went right. They were very lucky that they got there in one piece. And with those sorts of odds, would somebody have said, well, okay, we can say they went to the moon, but nobody will know. But for our purposes and for the rest of the world, we will look like the world leaders in space. We can fake those bits and maybe we'll do them again. Maybe they'd done them previously, but they couldn't tell people because there's sort of certain evidence to say that they've actually been to the moon earlier as well. And that's kind of interesting. Yes, I mean, yes, well, I mean, the Russians went and sent their probes up to the moon, the automatic probes.
Certainly, yes.
Yes, and that there was evidence that there was certain sort of structures on the moon back in those days, taken from telescopes, yes. I mean, I've been following this as you've been following this, but I mean, I don't follow the theory that they didn't go to the moon. I actually believe they did go to the moon, but I'm just exploring the possibility that possibly somebody would have said, this is very dangerous. What we ought to do is not quite send them there. Bring the people back alive.
Not quite sending somebody to the moon and actually getting them on the moon. Once you've got outside the Van Allen belt, it's the same difference. They cannot survive the trip. The radiation
yes, you
is
mean the
far too
radiation
strong.
stories, yes.
So once you're outside there, whether you not quite is the same as being dead.
Do we know that that's true for certain, that you can't survive outside the Van Allen belts without several feet of lead? I mean, is that a proven fact?
You can't get several feet of lead off the planet with the rocket technology
Shall we
that they had in
explain
the
actually what the
60s.
Van Allen belt is?
I assume that's an area somewhere over the ozone layer. Which...
Yes, it's way beyond the ozone layer. It stretches between about 600 miles and many thousands of miles out into space. When we talk of the space shuttle going into orbit, this is only a few hundred miles up. It's designed
between
only
200 and 300 miles up. That's
correct.
it.
That's
That's as far as anybody goes.
But the Van Allen belt is the belt that protects us on this planet. Living on this planet is equal to being protected by about 10 meters or over 30 feet of water. That's the protection from radiation that we get walking around on the surface of this planet. Now imagine being in a tin can, going through the radiation belt, which is very, very intense. And beyond the Van Allen belt, there's no protection at all. So we're going virtually naked before creation, beyond the protective belt of our planet, in a tin can and in basically a linen suit with a plastic visor.
Which we don't keep down because we want to have a look out.
Now, the scientific measurement of what happens to you beyond the Van Allen belt is very interesting. If you are exposed to more than 300 REMs, which is the measurement they used in the 60s, you are likely to die within a few days, perhaps 40%. 500 REMs and about 50% of people will be dead in a few days.
So you say it's physically impossible that anybody's ever been on the moon? It's never happened.
Didn't actually say that.
No, you can send anyone or any living thing to the moon, but can, as Kennedy said that they wanted to do, can you bring them back alive? That's the question. Because if they're fried, you can get them there, perhaps. But if you have people like Armstrong and Aldrin,
well, they've all been interviewed on TV afterwards. All of them, haven't they?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
Maybe
they could
they
never have
didn't.
gone up there in the first
Well,
place.
this is the conclusion one has to come to.
Maybe they didn't go as far, did they? Maybe they were still
See, the
inside
only
the
safe
protected
distance
belt.
to go is up to the point of the Van Allen belt, which is where the shuttle goes.
Well below.
Well below, in
300.
fact.
They
It goes
won't
only
go
halfway
higher.
there.
So where do you come from? You're a photographer, and so you looked at these photographs as a professional photographer rather than as somebody who was interested in conspiracy theories.
Yes. There was no conspiracy in the early days. In fact, I used to be a cinema projectionist, and in the 60s, I was running a cinema in Hampstead, the classic Hampstead. And when we landed on the moon, I put up a slide to the audience. I said, July, we put the date at the top, 20th of July, 1969, man has set foot on the moon. It's exactly what I wrote on this slide.
And did everybody in the audience...
They all clapped and cheered, and it was up there for quite a few minutes. And it was wonderful.
After a while, saying, can we see the film now?
Well, the film is still going. This was superimposed over the picture.
Oh, that must have really pleased them.
Exciting
and
moment.
it was wonderful. And a lot of people watch it live on television and so forth. But because I'm also a filmmaker, I got a hold of the material that was the alleged tele-recordings of the transmissions. There are many hours, over 80 hours worth of transmissions, allegedly from the moon. And I started comparing these photographs, which are full of holes in themselves, with the TV coverage. I think one example I could give you is of Aldrin coming down the ladder. It's quite a famous picture. In fact, there are a set of pictures. So not only do we have problems with the lighting, where we can see quite clearly that despite the fact he's coming down the ladder in the shade, he's perfectly bright, equally bright to the surface of the moon beyond him.
And Neil Armstrong wasn't standing
Well,
there
interestingly
with a
enough,
flash.
Neil Armstrong has to be standing here in order to take the picture. But when you look at the television coverage of our friend coming down the ladder, Neil Armstrong is standing somewhere else. He can't have taken that picture.
And he didn't have a flash.
He had no flash and no lights. And also the television coverage, Aldrin's coming down the ladder and he never ever, unless I miss it, he never ever sticks his leg out like that. He comes down the ladder with 2 feet more or less next to one another at every rung. Okay. Now the interesting thing is there are a set of pictures. When one looks at the dupe of the roll of film allegedly from Armstrong's camera, you see the hatch closed, then you see him emerging, and then you see him partly the way down. Then Armstrong decides to take a picture of the leg of the LEM, and then he decides to take a picture of the engine cowling of the LEM. Then he comes back and continues Aldrin's descent with the camera lined up exactly in the same way as it was for the earlier pictures. And he's still not standing in the right place, and in the television coverage he doesn't move.
And we also have to say that that's very talented because he hasn't got a viewfinder.
That's a very important point. This
Yes.
camera is a Hasselblad camera, and the back of the camera comes off with a film in it, right? And then you can change the film or change from black and white to color by unclipping the back, putting in a plate, just like the old photographers used to have to protect the plate from being fogged by the light. And you don't forget, you've got these very thick gloves, and you've got to manhandle this plate.
Well, they're enormously thick.
You
aren't
can't
they?
bend
They're
your fingers
right.
in them actually because they're so pressurized. That you
And
can't bend your
so
fingers.
you have a camera, and to save on weight and glass and so forth, there is no viewfinder. And there's also no exposure meter. You have a little card that says, almost like cloudy bright F11. Right? So you have to get your exposures right, despite the fact that 1 minute you're photographing an engine cowling, the next minute you're photographing somebody in the shade. Now, any photographer will see, when you look at the original color picture of that it's lit. That's the point. Lights are used. We've even done a blow-up of the sole of the foot, and you can see the direction from which the light is coming.
So, Marcus, what David's saying is that the film and the photographs obviously were taken separately, which would seem strange in itself. Why would, even if it was faked in a television studio, why wouldn't there be somebody taking photographs as the film was being made?
It's probably unlikely that anybody at the time that the film, the TV film, the cine film, and the still films were taken, that anybody, don't forget we're talking in the summer of 1969, when these would have been done, that anybody thought that 25, 30 years later, that somebody would have sat down and gone through totally unemotionally, because we're talking about one of the great events of civilization, landing on the moon. I stayed up and watched it. A lot of people watched it. We really felt proud that this had been achieved. And we didn't question it. The evidence was in front of us. There they were, the photographs. We'd heard about the moon rock that was going to be on show in the Science Museum. We'd seen the astronauts come back. We'd seen the president greet them. You don't fake something like that, do you? Of course not. This is 1969. The world got a lot more cynical since then. And
you don't think they were doing
as Matthew says, there are reasons why it was so important for America to be seen to be successful in space. Because Russia, though Russia had beaten America into space in the first place by getting Sputnik up there, by getting the first man up there, America's pride was severely dented. Kennedy comes out with his great challenge to land a man on the moon and return him safely to the Earth by the end of the decade. They did it. And America was proud. America was the leading country. But now, supposing during the time that they were looking at how to get a man to the moon, the scientists came to the conclusion that it was actually impossible, that there were too many obstacles to overcome within the time frame. The radiation, which I think has been overlooked as a major obstacle. Sure, you can put satellites and craft up there that are not organic. You start putting organic matter, i.e. people, up there, and you've got a completely different ballgame. Yes, you can put man up there, but you've got to have 6 foot of lead shielding, and that wasn't there. So if they then got the idea, well, we're going to have to show that we did it for political reasons. Right, now we've got these big studios, we got Hollywood, we got all the special effects. They had a deadline. This was the date. The rocket had gone up. They had to get there 3 days later. They had to land. They had to have the television transmissions. Then they had to come back 3 days after that. And just the fact of coming back from the moon is a major problem, major technical problem to get through the little window. It's only 40 miles wide that you have to get your spacecraft to.
Right angle.
At the right angle. If it's too shallow, it bounces off and you orbit the sun forever. If it's too steep, you burn up. Little cinders picked up out of the Pacific. Not a good idea when the president's waiting. So you've got this whole pressure to produce a convincing scenario. I believed it. At the time, most people believed it.
The main point we want to get across is that we feel that this is intentional. We don't think that this is sloppiness. We think that this work was done under the eyes or under the nose of NASA. they would have seen the pictures. You don't think NASA is going to willingly publish this picture if they know it to be phony, or if they know there's something wrong with it. They probably thought, oh, that's a good picture of Aldrin coming down the ladder. They aren't experts. You don't have a dog and bark as well. So if you've got your photographic experts taking the pictures, all that you're going to do is approve it.
And one of the photographic experts you're saying was putting in these clues, hoping that somebody like you would.
I think a possible scenario is that the team, the photographic team, and the compositors and the printers, they all realized what was going on, and they must have been party, some of them at least. Not everybody needed to know.
So deliberate that they'd actually say to the person playing Buzz Aldrin, assuming that that isn't the real Buzz Aldrin.
Yes. Good point. I think
stick your leg
there's
out.
no way, yes, and make sure that the lighting hitting the boot is directional, and just as with your shoe, there's a tread, and you can see by analyzing the tread exactly where the light is positioned. Now, that was thought through. Somebody must have thought that through.
We've been concentrating a lot on that photograph. Can we look at some of these others?
Yes. Now, this is perhaps
I mean, I've got to say that, you know, this is so persuasive, yet it's such a...
It's difficult to take.
Yeah, it's very difficult to take, yet very
yes, it's very
persuasive.
difficult to take.
Being
Now,
torn here.
You may want to look at that picture. Now, this is probably the most famous of all of the NASA photographs, Man on the Moon. But now look at it. Firstly,
you said if
we're looking
at
down on
reflection,
him.
you can see a bunch of girls.
Yes, I think we should put to one side what's in his visor, because you could make a 2-hour program purely on that picture in his visor. Firstly, we're looking down on the astronaut very slightly. That's the first thing. Nothing to do with the lighting.
You can see the top of his head.
See the top of his head, and you can also see the top of his backpack. However, the camera that photographs any astronaut is clipped to the chest. So how can you ever be higher than 6 feet in order to look down onto the astronaut? But you need to look down onto the astronaut in this picture in order to see he's standing in a pool of light. It's rather like a follow spot in the theater. You know, when somebody moves around the stage, this spotlight keeps them well illuminated, and you can see what is the hot area. The area where the spotlight doesn't hit is much darker. Well, it's exactly what we've got in this picture. Not only, however, is this light behind the astronaut, but the part of the astronaut that faces the camera that ought to be totally black, because we're in a vacuum, there's no way you get anything filling in. The rocks are totally black, by the way. When we see pictures of rocks in these Apollo pictures, they're so black you can't see where the rock stops and the shadow begins. So why isn't our astronaut totally black? Well, NASA don't want that. They want to be able to see their astronaut. So what one does in a photographic studio, even in this studio, one would do it if one was photographing something like a car or a pack shot of a product. You bring in your polystyrene, you bring in your reflector board, or you use another soft light, and you fill in, and you almost fight the light that's lighting from the primary source. And that's exactly what we see in this picture. In the distance, left and right, the horizon, it's very dark. It's almost a stop or two darker than our subject. But it's standing in a pool of light.
Which is a totally
is this
level
how
illumination
light behaves?
Yes, the horizon should be lit up as much as the rest of the picture. And this has not occurred to anybody.
He cannot be standing in a pool of light if he's lit by the sun. It has to be lit. That means a studio.
Unless, of course, that this was a specially prepared batch of film by Kodak.
Well, we have spoken to Kodak about this, and we know that it's ordinary Ektachrome 160 ASA, as it used to be called in those days, film that anyone could buy. There was nothing special about it at all. It was 70mm film with sprockets.
There must have been something special about it, because we know that on the moon's surface the temperature is extreme. It's either very hot or very cold. And if it was very hot, because we're allegedly in the sunlight, the temperature is about 200 degrees centigrade. It's about the temperature you'll cook your Christmas turkey at.
Yes. If I may just comment on the temperatures, on the transmissions, and I'd like to take this as the figure that we go with. On the transmissions, they talk about it being 180 degrees Fahrenheit.
Right.
Okay, but that's in the sun. If you leave your film stock and your camera in the shade, it will go to minus 180 degrees. Now, you try putting your film stock in the freezer, if it'll go that cold, right? And try to wind it on in your camera, right? Then you take it out and then you put it in the oven, right? And then you see how the emulsion gets very soft. And it's also difficult to wind on without damaging the sprocket holes. Yet, if you look at Armstrong's roll of film, the majority of the pictures are all nicely exposed and there are no problems with torn sprocket holes or the film becoming so brittle that it will break. None of those things have happened. It's not consistent with the pictures having been taken in that environment.
As Barry, what does NASA feel about these views? Are they honouring your views with an answer? Are they what are they saying?
I don't think NASA have commented yet. Quite how much of this information they're aware of, I'm not quite sure. But it would be nice to think that they could come forward and easily put a stop to some of this, because the photographic evidence, in particular with these things like the hot spots of light, you can't deny that that is there on the photographs, and it just doesn't add up. And wouldn't it be very easy for somebody from NASA to step forward and say, well, the reason for that is because, and they come up with a simple answer. But with all of these books and articles that have been written, there's not one person has yet come back and been able to say, well, in actual fact, the reason for this is... They just haven't done it.
We phoned NASA to ask their opinion on this, and they said that they'd like you and everybody to know that the moon landings did take place.
I'm sure they would.
We'd sort of guessed that, pretty much so. It was somebody in public affairs.
Yes,
Are they likely to have said anything else?
Well, I mean, no.
Of course not.
No, they wouldn't.
They couldn't possibly come back and say, "Oh, we've been spotted at last. Well done, chaps."
Sorry,
you know.
But these
world
photographs are getting more and more well known now, and your views are getting more and more well known. You'd think that they would have commented or
slightly differently. It's a sort of no comment, really, isn't it?
Andy, you believe that the astronauts did actually go to the moon?
I find it very hard to believe that we've never been to the moon, because it's not just the shots taken on the surface. Of course, there's lots of photographs taken in orbit or whatever. Now, I accept they could have been taken by unmanned probes, but what concerns me more is just the photographs. Putting aside everything else, the photographs clearly do not stand up to scrutiny. Now, I think, like Barry was saying, we deserve answers from NASA. Now, if these are just simply us being very, very silly, it would be the simplest thing in the world for NASA to come forward and say to us, well, this is why these pictures look like this, and it's as simple as that. Now, the fact that they've said nothing at all is very strange. But I differ from David here in terms of the whistleblower's theory, which says that there were deliberate anomalies put into the photograph so that 20, 30 years down the line, we would discover them and realize it was a hoax. I actually believe it's just as likely to be down to incompetence, because nobody thought that anybody would ever question the photographs that deeply. And human nature being what it is, and who knows, maybe the hoax was conducted in a hurry or whatever, we don't know why they did it.
Certainly not.
Why do you think that?
Because the whole of the Apollo program goes back well before 1960s. And the space program, if you like, well before the 60s. So this is not something in a hurry. Now, the decision to do it will have been taken as soon as they knew that radiation is the biggest showstopper of the solar system, of our living thing,
the Russians
which is in 1958. They knew that.
We've touched on the problems of radiation with the astronauts, but when we put this to a very well-known astronomer who runs a planetarium in England, we discussed what we've been talking about now, and within about 10 minutes he said, "We didn't go, did we?" Because we showed him a picture of the camera, and he said, "What about the X-ray problem?" Now, we all remember in the old days when we had these old-fashioned X-ray machines at airports,
You'd say,
they
don't
weren't
put your
film
camera
safe.
through.
And if you were a camera crew and you've been around the world going from country to country with your film rushes, as they're called, putting them through X-ray machine after X-ray machine, you could end up with your film being very badly fogged, which means it's not correctly exposed and will never look right.
And
now,
these photographs are perfect.
No fogging.
how
any
do
photo.
you take pictures with X-rays all around you with no protection for the camera? Now, the official explanation as to why the X-rays didn't affect the film is that the camera is very well protected. It was painted with a coat of aluminium paint. This is the
Good, isn't
X-ray
it?
protection.
Ah.
And some experts have said, you mentioned, what about asking NASA? But we have asked contractors to NASA. And they said, well, it must have been all right because, look, the pictures are fine.
Was it Armstrong's voice that said one small step for man?
That's right.
Well,
But
we
well-
are told it's Armstrong's voice.
But do you think it was Armstrong's voice?
There's no
It
reason why it
doesn't
shouldn't
make
be.
any difference whether it was or not, because he
There's
doesn't
no
have to have done
reason
it on the moon.
why it shouldn't.
Well, if we found out that it wasn't Armstrong's voice, then, you know, then
Well,
then
he
we're
hasn't
getting
taken
somewhere.
a sound test on it, but
This
that doesn't
is,
matter.
again, work that can be done on analysing the sound.
Where
Yes.
were they, do you think, at this point? Where was this television studio?
Well, I don't think we should speculate as to where it was. I don't think it matters. It could be in the Nevada desert. It could be what they've been doing in Area 51. You know, if you have got a big moon set somewhere, that would be a reason why you wouldn't want people flying over it.
Spot all these
That's right.
things lying around.
Don't forget the Apollo 11 studio was a very small one because they were only on the surface for a few hours, and that could be inside. But once you get to Apollo 17, where there's a vast landscape, this has to be done outside, and you need a black sky, and therefore your exterior set would have to be done at night. One of the James Bond movies, doesn't really matter which one it is, it's a scene. James Bond walks into...
Moonraker.
It could have been Moonraker, but I don't think it was. James Bond walks into a particular lab.
Dr. No.
No, it's not Dr. No. No.
We'll get it in a
Not
minute.
Dr. No.
It'll come.
It was a very good try.
Really
It
good.
doesn't matter what the movie was. It's a James Bond movie, and people say, "What's that scene doing in there?" He walks into this lab, and they're going to the moon, and he says, "I've come to inspect your radiation shields."
Yes, it does.
Okay, and the next thing he does, he walks out of the lab onto a moon set with astronauts bouncing around and phony backgrounds to it.
And a studio.
That's right, it's a
Above it.
complete studio.
I remember
the
this
And he
scene.
ends up,
Yeah.
you know, being chased out of this set. So
Leaping
you have a
onto the rover
connection
and rushing off.
in a James Bond movie of a lunar set and a statement just prior to it that says,
What the hell has happened to it? It stopped screen sharing for some strange reason. And by the way, something going weird with the keyboard as well. So I don't know if this Hangout is just getting bugged, you know, like some sort of bullshit. But hang on, I'll see if I can represent this thing. And I'll bring it back a couple of minutes just in case people have missed it.
as to where it was. I don't think it matters. It could
Right. I shall share my screen again. And there, share, and press play.
be in the Nevada
Hope
desert.
that
It could be what
works.
they've been doing in Area 51. You know, if you have got a big moon set somewhere, that would be a reason why you wouldn't want people flying over it.
Spot all these
That's right.
things lying around.
Don't forget the Apollo 11 studio was a very small one because they were only on the surface for a few hours, and that could be inside. But once
I
you
don't
get
think they ever gave
to
a shit.
Apollo
really.
17, where there's a vast landscape, this has to be done outside, and you need a black sky, and therefore your exterior set would have to be done at night. One of the James Bond movies,
Cool,
doesn't really
thanks,
matter which
Wanda.
one it is, it's a scene. James Bond walks into...
Moonraker.
It could have been Moonraker, but I don't think it was. James Bond walks into a particular lab.
Dr. No.
No, it's not Dr. No. No.
We'll get it in a
Not
minute.
Dr. No.
It'll come.
It was a very good try.
Really
It
good.
doesn't matter what the movie was. It's a James Bond movie, and people say, "What's that scene doing in there?" He walks into this lab, and they're going to the moon, and he says, "I've come to inspect your radiation shields."
Yes, it does.
Okay, and the next thing he does, he walks out of the lab.
This is
onto
Google
the
Hangouts before Google Hangouts.
astronauts bouncing around and phony backgrounds to it.
And a studio.
That's right, it's a
Above it.
complete studio.
I
Remember
remember
the
this
and he
scene.
ends up,
Yeah.
you know, being chased out of this set. So
Leaping
you have a
onto the rover
connection
and rushing off.
in a James Bond movie of a lunar set and a statement just prior to it that says, "I've come to inspect your radiation shields." Now, isn't that interesting?
And these movies were made for a purpose then?
Well, certainly all movies are made for a purpose. One is to entertain, two is to make a lot of money, or possibly the other way around. One is a product of the other.
But are they also made for a
yes,
slightly more sinister purpose?
I don't think James Bond is made for a sinister purpose. I think we have a possibly, there is a zeitgeist in artists that they're going to pick up the general energy of what's going on, and scriptwriters who are very close to the edge of things are going to incorporate into all work, as anybody does, painter, writer, or whatever, they're caring about things. And as you know, in repressive societies, you can get a lot said in fiction or in entertainment that you can't actually say straight out. And just because America is not labeled a communist society, it does not mean to say either that it's a democracy.
But in some cases, you can have a situation where things are done to confuse. And in the same way as you can drop in hints, as in the Bond movie we've just talked about, you've got a situation with Independence Day, which is incidentally about ETs, and I don't think anybody panicked when that film was released.
Well, that's because they weren't pretending it was actually happening.
There was a lot of interesting, confusing information in it.
One of the interesting things about Independence Day is that they refer to Roswell, which occurred in the middle of 1947. And in the script of that movie, they say that Roswell occurred in the 50s. Now, I don't think this is sloppy researching. I think it's intentional confusing. There's a mixture of what has been reported, various research, and things that are actually incorrect to confuse. So you have an opposite situation.
So do you think it is to confuse? I'm sorry, or do you think it's just to make it more entertaining? If the truth is perhaps a bit boring, then you can spice it up.
Why is that? Truth is not boring to start with, as you well know. And secondly, it's to confuse people like you who don't know the history. Us oldies but goldies remember the first time round, if you like. And we have access to documents which have, as near as we can get to the first time round, but in all the magazines that are coming out now, in all the movies, even in Dark Skies, they then insinuated that the Navy was involved at the Roswell situation. The Navy was nowhere near. It was probably about the only guys who were
crash that occurred and somebody found the wreckage. In the Dark Skies program.
Thanks, Wanda. My keyboard's not working. I can't type at the moment. It's weird.
And then they shoot them they shoot this ET craft out of the sky with what
I've had it for a long time anyway. It's just sort of rediscovery kind of thing.
Scientific advancement.
What I'll do is I will just upload them anyway to the channel without, all the talk and all of it.
It is fiction, but what it's causing people to do.
I know, that's weird, Larry. I'm listening to this now and I'm going, is this, are we getting Mandela effect, or is it from 1990s?
In order that a certain atmosphere is achieved within the general public, and
yes, they want to inform.
And who is deciding?
And before who? Let's just finish.
I think the atmosphere is to create. Now, I think the atmosphere is to create a fear of things.
I saw that, Lar.
And especially ET. I do not think that the powers that be, whoever they might be, and Marcus, you can answer that one. You're head of conspiracy.
There's a lot is this the famous secret?
These were probably the chosen Tavistock top fucking actors for this show. They're all so pleasant, and
there is a rumor.
we did wonder. We all looked like that in the 90s. I thought it was the 80s, but there you go.
Which, by saying, well, it must be
lost weekends, that's for lightweights. How about lost decades?
Inexplicable. And it is not something which I think should be encouraged. That, with all due respect, Mary, the idea that there is a manipulating force, I think, comes out rather.
Manipulating force, but
it comes out very well
hidden.
In fiction.
No, it is not as hidden as you're saying. The manipulating force is that those who wish to.
They're definitely forming opinions and consensuses.
And we all do this. We all wish to maintain where we're at.
Yeah.
So to a degree, we all do what we need to do in order to make sure we've still got our favourite food on the table and do our favourite things. It is that on a larger scale. But the fact of the matter is, if ET is out there, it is not necessarily that he is a four-headed reptilian oink who can't.
Here comes the reptilians.
Anybody, but that is the impression.
I know. I'll upload this separately just to show you.
From
without any interruptions.
And the magazines that publish.
But it's a hangout at the moment, so fake it.
an intention behind it. And if you are running,
I'm seeing a bit of leg anyway, Wanda.
multi-million-pound
She's
company,
flashing
interested you
tights
to
there
maintain
underneath
your
all
status
that
quo at that
sort
level,
of
then
stitched
you would
together,
rather have things not change.
roughly
And are the
hewn,
same people who are destabilizing
you
us
know,
through
dead
misinformation
deer
in
or,
films and
you know,
television
whatever.
programs? Are these the same people who are also feeding us the untruths about the moon landing? Is it the same group of people?
I
with-
would say that we are being steered by human beings in one direction. And I would say that the experiences of many, 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 many people of other forms of consciousness are steering them in another direction. And these two
And look,
directions are
early
possibly
examples of NLP.
not
Look
of
at the hands.
same
She's just,
demand.
everyone's looking at the hands.
And it is not
It's the hands,
achieved
man.
or the consciousnesses that manifest as such who are
Good
the
man, Rollo.
aggressive partners
Advertise for
in that.
We're all being very mild-mannered
fakeologist.com.
here
You got to
today,
do
and I
that,
mean,
man.
we
We
have
all
a
do
lot to
that.
say.
Anyway.
I mean, there is evidence. We haven't looked at all of it here.
Oh, look at,
I
here's
mean, the thing
Suits
is,
from the
life is easy
90s.
to live
It still
if
looks
you're
80s stuff.
ignorant of certain facts, and people live their lives quite happily, not knowing some of the
Suits
things that
by
some of
Mandela.
us here have come into contact with. The information is out there. It's not necessarily suppressed. And if you look a little bit further, just beneath the surface, I mean, this is not crazy stuff. This is out there.
And into part 2.
We started with these photographs, maybe we can end with them.
That picture is interesting for two reasons. A, you can see the lem there with nothing disturbing to the rock, and B, you can see shadows going in crazy directions.
You'd expect a dust blast or something,
Yes,
wouldn't you? You know,
absolutely.
Well, there
dust.
are so many different statements about dust. You know, one mission will say, "Oh, kicking up a lot of dust." The other will say, "Oh, no dust here."
Yes.
You know,
This is another
it's
picture of the lem
completely all
module.
over the place.
Um,
and I can't
Have you
remember.
never thought about, surely the natural progression of your investigation would be to try and find out the people who took the photographs?
That
where
guy is
the-
still
where the
shilling
moon
from
landing was
NASA.
faked, what television studio? Have you never been interested in
Mr. Hairstyle here.
Oh,
I
yes, in
can't
fact,
think of
we've
his
even
name at the
been to
moment,
speak
but
to engineers who
he's
actually
still on the
worked
go.
that
He's
module.
on rents and everything.
And we've got some very interesting answers, which are going to be in our book. But
Maybe
there is
someone in
something
the
else
chat
that
can
anyone
remember his
test, and
name.
It's a very interesting thing to do. If anyone has an encyclopedia, like the Grolier encyclopedia on CD-ROM, you not only see the footage, the alleged footage of us coming down, landing on the moon, okay, but you hear Armstrong's voice saying that he's giving a countdown as to how things are progressing, mentions
I love the way he says
picking up a
alleged.
little dust.
Nobody
and so forth,
says that
and we see
much
the
anymore.
touchdown. Now, as a filmmaker, one has filmed in many places. Helicopters, Boeing 747s, even a guy piloting a bobsleigh on the San Moritz bobsleigh run.
You get a lot of
And
dust.
you
He obviously
cannot
turned
hear a
down
word they
the
say
offer
unless
from
they shout,
fucking
unless there's stress in the voice.
the hair
unless there's
dye for
tension.
men.
This
Grecian
capsule was
2000.
pressurized. They weren't yet wearing their spacesuits.
He's
they
obviously not
arrived,
Grecian.
allegedly. So how are they able to say, picking up a little
Well,
dust with complete silence in the background?
Timmy's dad. Oh man,
It's, in my
that
view, it's
whole
more
thing.
whistleblowing, because it would be
Ah,
easier to add the rumble.
anticlimax
He's
to
standing over
On top of this
nonsense.
this engine that has 10,000 pounds
But
of
seriously,
thrust
this guy
throbbing away.
is a
I mean,
big
if you were to
name.
watch a rocket being
Sexy.
launched.
Yeah.
at
He
Cape-
really is.
At Cape in America or in Russia or anywhere where we launch rockets, you have to stand more
Where
than a mile
we
away.
launch
This is
rockets. This
dangerous
fucking
and noisy.
we.
If a rocket ever
Bullshit.
falls over, the blast will blast things at a tremendous rate, a tremendous force. Imagine your sofa is just above a rocket with 10,000 pounds
Imagine.
of thrust, and you're just talking as
No,
cool
my
as a
sofa is
cucumber.
just above a
He was
nice
very calm. The
plane.
eagle has landed. But
Plane.
he was representing
You know,
America.
it's
He had to
grand.
be calm. This was a big moment.
Well,
for
also
him.
Exactly, but it's phony. It isn't real.
That he had done
It's
many
foaming.
hundreds of simulations.
Look at
He
the
spent
dupe and
many-
delight
all
on
his-
these
Yes, it's
feckers
what
as
they
well.
did.
Worked in
Preparing
simulators,
on
just
the
as airline
simulators.
pilots today work in simulators. What do you do if all 4 engines die on you and you've got a thunder? You know, the astronauts trained in simulators. Armstrong was known to be one of the coolest.
Let's
pilots.
simulate
He was
some
incidentally-
space.
Armstrong was a civilian.
No, he was
not
He's-
military.
he
They
was
are
not
indeed.
civilian.
In
He
fact,
belonged to
Wanda,
Redwoods Air
they're
Force
laying
Base,
down the
flying
talking points
X-16 or
because
whatever
don't
it was.
forget,
He used to fly the
97 or
F-15s at
87.
Redwoods Air
Never
Force.
This is
When
still
have you ever tried to
on the
approach the
mainstream
NLM?
at the time, and they're just
Mhm.
planting this shit.
Somebody who
This,
has
the likes of me was
a reporter
lapping
from
up
America,
this.
and he
Like
once
this.
went to see Neil
Wow,
Armstrong.
there's
He lives
people
in
there that
France.
are fucking talking about the moon.
Unlike,
So
Aldrin,
they're willing to
who
throw
has
out that
been
stuff
doing
onto
so for many
mainstream
years and
back
endeavouring
then,
to put a brave front on all this,
and
Armstrong won't talk to anybody.
albeit
This
late
reporter, who's
night,
a
Channel
television
4.
reporter, went along to Armstrong's
What are we
place,
on the
knocked
internet?
on the door,
We're kind of
said, "Could I
like the
speak to
late
you,
night
please?"
Channel
Armstrong said,
4
"If you ever
people
come back here
from
again,
in the
you'll be
future,
physically removed from these premises."
or we just grew up or
He did
whatever,
go
you
back
know,
again,
or
and
we
he
got
was
older
physically
maybe.
removed, and he has got it on video.
Thinking we're getting older and wiser
For a
when we're just
man who
getting
went
old.
to the
Nah,
moon
no,
in
we're
peace
we're getting older
for
and
all
wiser.
mankind. He will not
And
discuss
typo
it. He's
error
given
is here.
his 10 interviews.
No, you're not
over
getting the
last
link
few
either,
years
mate.
that he's
Just
obliged
enjoy
to
this.
give.
This is
He
cool.
will not give
And
any more.
then
Why can't he
we'll
give
have a
interviews? Why can't he say, "Look, I've retired. It's
cool
all in the book."
discussion
Why
afterwards.
say to someone allegedly that if you return here again, you'll be forcibly removed?
Maybe he got sick of it. Moon this, moon that.
Why would you get sick of something
Lisa,
if
I
you're
think
really
put
sick
an
of it?
R in front of that because we've been revolutioning in a
It's the biggest
circle.
thing that ever happened to
Since
us.
I was born anyway.
Yes, exactly.
And don't forget, we've all just been born into a snapshot of shit that's been going on beforehand, or so they tell us, and it'll be going on
What
afterwards.
about all this stuff? That
So they
we've
tell
been
us.
gone to the moon? And
But,
he came out with
yeah.
a lot of very interesting comments, which don't answer the question at all. He could easily have said, and I think if I had been, or if anybody else had been there, he would have said, "I don't care what you have to say. I stood on the surface of the moon. I was overawed. I couldn't believe the majesty of the stars that were around me.
Well, they can't
It
say
was
that.
so moving. It was the most fantastic thing that ever happened to me. No one can ever take it away from me, and I don't care what anybody ever says. I was on the moon, and it was amazing." None of them have ever spoken in such terms. They all come out with gobbledygook that enables them to perpetuate the myth. None of them are passionate
that in a
enough.
long time.
None of them are acting consistently with having been where they allegedly have been.
But this does
Gobbledygook.
raise an interesting
Typo
point, though,
man.
that we're
We'll
not
get
just
a
talking
link
about one
now,
mission
don't worry.
here. We're talking about several missions. Now, the one question which bugs me slightly is, if you're going to hoax it,
Why
okay, you do it
continue to
once.
hoax it?
Why keep doing it again and again and risk being found out with every mission that you pretend to do? Why not just leave it at one, possibly two, and then say, okay, we've made our point. It looks like we've been to the moon. Let's leave it there. Now, why keep trying to perpetuate going to the moon? Surely that's then risking being found out.
If you look at the story of the missions, the way they work out, the events that happen on them, dare I say, script writing into each mission, you'll find that there is a cut-off point for public awareness. Apollo 12, the camera, allegedly didn't work on the lunar surface, so it was sound only. Now you're talking about a country that lives through its television, and television at that time was a relatively new toy. So, you know, people would normally have been going, gosh, second mission to the moon.
They
and you know,
brought
human
the
beings,
television
they're more
to
interested in
us.
what's going to go wrong than what's going to
A
go
new
right.
toy. No,
So
it
if
was the
something
latest
wonderfully awful is
fucking
going to happen, we'll all be
brainwashing.
glued there. But if it's all boringly all boring, and I'm walking over here, I'm walking over there, I don't take any notice. So
You don't pick up on that point that Mary has made, that the report was that the television camera for Apollo 12 failed. But if you look at the footage, frame by frame, which I have the luxury of being able to do with an edit suite, you can find frames where the camera was picked up from being laid on the deck to being put somewhere else, and you can see quite clearly the camera is working. So if this is correct, if the camera was working, and it was working when they came down the ladder, why didn't someone at Mission Control
Thanks,
say,
Ted.
"Come on, guys, put the
1997
camera on the legs. We want to see what you're doing."
instead of
Never,
1987.
For over half an hour, does anyone tell them to do something about this camera that isn't set up? Then, are we surprised when none of the TV networks in America wants to take Apollo
We
13?
did.
Of course they don't want to take it, because they were really bored with Apollo 12. It looks too much like script writing.
But if Apollo 12 was fake, and the cameras
We're
weren't
even
working,
talking
why not
about
just
script
fake the pictures
writers
like
back
they
in
did the first mission if the
1997.
camera
Come
wasn't
on,
working?
guys. They were laying
Why
it out.
say why say the
Thanks,
camera
Ted,
wasn't
man.
working? Why not come up with
Teddy
pictures
Cow.
like they did the first time?
Well, they did.
They took
The stills
photographs.
were fake.
Allegedly, they
Upstanding
still
member of
wouldn't.
the community.
Whatever happened, I mean, there is one possible scenario here that all these Apollo missions are a front for what might have really happened.
Yes.
The shop window version.
Yeah, see, we get the
Well, I
space,
don't think
secret
we've got time
space
to go into
program,
that
which I
today,
don't,
but
We
we
really
also-
haven't
I
got
think
it.
that's
We
don't
more
haven't.
really
likely.
buy
I think
into
that's more
that
likely that it
anymore.
never happened at all. That what
No,
we're presented
they-
with here,
they-
what these pictures are not the true story, but
Kind
there
of
is a
Star
true story
Trek,
to be
Yes,
told.
you
yes,
know.
of
But
course
we're
it
just
is.
talking about the shop window version for the moment. Okay. Now, if you want Apollo 13
Interactive
to happen,
play,
in other words, if it's part of
science
planned
fiction.
Shop window.
scenario, that the things will get grander and grander, but you need Apollo 13 in order to draw people's attention. You then have got to make
Thank
sure
you,
that they're not
Nostradamus,
particularly
for that
enamored with
little
12,
factoid
okay?
or
Are you
statement.
suggesting that the Apollo 13, the mishap was staged?
Well,
Yes.
everything we're saying,
Everything is
everything is
Exactly,
staged.
the X-Files.
definitely.
Therefore,
Mishap
Apollo
stage.
13 was a script at the beginning, just in the same way as the movie. In fact, the
And they're
movie that
telling
you
you.
see is a script.
I want to
Okay?
believe.
And that's what happened with Apollo 13, really. Nobody went to the moon and nearly landed and then safely got back through the narrow window that Marcus has described using this LEM engine. No one did that, in our view.
So Apollo 13 was staged for ratings purposes.
It was
I-
staged in order, yes. For
No,
funding.
it's kind of like a
Funding, yeah.
massive
NASA is
psyop to
slowly
make people
finding its
believe in
funding
a secret
things.
space
They wanted
program
to
and
go further and further and have more missions.
you know,
And this was the answer.
keep
If
on.
there were
Because
planned to
this
be
guy
more
who's
missions, and
talking,
if these
he's
are
the guy who's
pictures that are just
pushing,
literally fronting the
you know,
situation, they have to carry on
crystal
doing it.
palaces
justify
on the
the funding
fucking
that you
moon,
have
for
had.
fuck's sake, you
Can I
know,
ask, was the Challenger
with
version
hairspray
staged?
and everything.
The explosion was real,
Question.
but how it occurred is another matter.
Space
You know,
shuttles do
like,
go up, they do
it was
orbit
probably
the Earth, they're
sponsored
low,
by,
250
fucking
300
Clairol or
There's
someone
no
like
problem
that, you
about
know.
that at all.
You
Yeah,
just stepped
do-
out
you
of a
think it was
LEM,
deliberately
I don't think we should
exploded.
comment on that
a loon
now,
or
but I
something.
think there's more
A
to
saloon,
it than
a
perhaps
loon.
we know.
A LEM
One thing that we haven't touched
saloon,
on
salon.
really is the reasons
I'd rather
why
stay
it's
in the
become so
saloon, feck
fascinating
the
to
salon.
us. Not
It's
the
about
information.
integrity and truth, isn't it? And it's about the future of this planet, because although America has the biggest space agency at one point and Russia have an extremely efficient space agency,
The future of
you
our
actually
planet.
have humanity
yeah.
is dependent
The
upon the
Federation
integrity
will
of those people who are exploring frontiers that we,
stitch
most of us,
fucking
can't go to
deer
at the
skins
moment.
together and
So
throw
we are
them
dependent
on
upon them
potential
quality of
lesbians
information
with
and of
crew
learning about
cuts.
our universe. And
Yeah.
therefore, if there's something
There-
wrong,
there's an
then
early
everybody deserves to be
transvestigation
given the
for
chance
anyone
to make
who's
their own
into it.
opinion. Because we cannot live in fear and doubt and not be able to trust the information that we're
And I
getting.
don't
And why
really
are
like
you
to
the
offend
person
these people,
to
but fuck it.
filter through
They're
this
putting
information?
themselves
I am
out
not
there,
the chosen
you
one
know.
to filter through this information. It happens to be that I have fallen upon it through other work and circumstances. Everybody's doing it. We're all doing it.
Phone call
You're
from
doing it by asking the
handler
questions.
at 2 o'clock in the
But I
morning.
haven't dedicated
Gotta
my
go
life
to
this,
Channel 4
and
right now.
I'm
you
not
people
going to
have.
dedicate all my life to this. This is an aspect of bringing forth human beings, all of us, forward.
We're doing it for nothing. You know, we're not.
I'm
being
in the
paid
middle of the
to do
forest.
that
The point
tonight.
is
Look,
that if
just
we
wear
don't
whatever you
Things
have.
that we have.
We'll send a
I
helicopter.
think there is a very important point that we've got to stress. That we live on a very special planet.
Why is my
Life
couch
is
not
very
fucking
special
red
indeed.
like everybody else?
And I think it's time that we realize that
We
if
have
we
special
wish to travel
plans
in
for you.
space, which I'm sure a lot of people would like us to do, thinking long term, surely we will
Thinking
travel.
long term, we're going to put you
can't
on
expect
rents
to
for the
go
next 20
without
years. Have you
emulating
ever heard of the
the
internet?
conditions,
Hmm?
that
Yes,
we
it's
enjoy
coming.
when we're living on the planet. In other words, our craft that we travel in have got to be
We're
more like
rolling it out
UFOs
very
with a
small
very
at the
sophisticated
moment. This is back in
technology for
1997, you know.
and protection
Yeah.
with shields and radiation.
Don't worry,
protection. The
it'll be
galactic
invented by
cosmic
some guy
radiation
in a
is
garage,
lethal.
and
You have to have
you
a
know,
craft that can
we
carry
have the soundtrack
required
as well.
protection
Don't you two
and
will be
have
there?
the
Don't.
trusting capability.
It'll all be
You
cool.
won't be in 1,000 years from now
Just look at that.
going elsewhere in space in steam-driven rocket
You're
ships.
talking about
We will be
space,
going
man.
in much more sophisticated craft.
Imagine
using
sitting
different
on your
types of
couch with a
technology
giant rocket.
work
That's what his words
harmoniously
were
with
earlier
gravity
on.
propulsion devices rather than crude rocket ships. And these
Crude
devices will
rocket
have to give
ships.
us the protection. So one thing that we've learned out of all this is that we're actually trapped on this planet. Forget about
Ooh.
going to Mars and coming back alive, because we are going to be in space for a long time. We cannot travel in space out beyond the Van Allen belt without the right craft. This is
Yeah,
where the
you see,
energy
this
must
is
be
what
placed.
got
If
me
NASA
at the
want to know
time.
what to do next, maybe respectfully,
And
we
looking
should
at it
suggest to them
now,
they
with
start
what
looking at
I've learned
advanced
since and what
technologies
we know, man,
with gravity
is
propulsion
that
devices
this
that
guy
protect their astronauts.
was basically saying,
And
yeah,
if your photographs are
we can't leave.
proved
We don't.
beyond doubt
And then they replace it
to
with
be true,
magical
your research
secret
is proved beyond doubt to be true,
spaceways and jump
you're sitting
rooms
on
and
a-
all
on
that
a
kind of
gold mine
shit.
here.
But
Bigger than Watergate.
we're
Well, I don't
still
think it's a gold
left
mine. We're not
in a
interested in the
television
money.
studio
We're
with a bunch of
interested in the
talking heads.
advancement
Like I
of
said
the
earlier on,
Lunar.
it's
We're
like a
interested in the
forerunner
progress
of a Google
us all
Hangout, except
as
all
the
these
people of this
people
planet.
know each
We
other
don't
and
want to be fobbed off
the
with excuses
cups of
and
coffee
the
in the
reasons why
Tavistock
we,
canteen, you know,
or evidence that is cooked.
or
We want to
secret
really go to
messages,
these
you know,
places.
little.
We want to be proud of our achievements, not hide behind fakes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've been fed this information, we believed it. And when you, having spent 25, 30 years believing
Thank you,
something, find that
typo.
what you believe
Richard
wasn't true,
Hogland.
you get angry.
Is he hogging the
First of all, you
land,
get angry with yourself.
or is he
for being
hoglanding
calm.
everything?
Nobody likes to be calm. Nobody
Anyway,
likes to feel that
he
they're
had fucking mad
being
hairstyle in
manipulated. Nobody likes to
1997.
feel that they're master of their own destiny. You
They're
suddenly
all
find
pretty much
one of the major events of the 20th century,
tweed
any
jackets and
is not
those
actually what it
those
would
really
have
cool
appeared to have
leather
been
elbow
when we were told
pads.
about it.
You
You
know,
think,
it
well,
was
if
kind of like,
that
is
was
it,
wrong,
you know,
what else
you're a
is wrong?
professor
And
now.
you then
You need to wear a
dismantle
tweed
the
jacket
whole
and you need to
kind of
have
belief system,
leather
the
elbow
belief system,
pads
and you
because it's
start
quite
building it back up
dangerous,
again.
you know,
I'm quite often asked,
writing
do I
a
believe in UFOs?
paper or a
And my
thesis,
answer is always the same.
or
There's nothing I
maybe
can
they
do
were
to
just
see that.
experimenting
Evidence.
with
And this is what David has done. and
what
we're doing here
people would
tonight. We're looking
take
at the evidence.
as a,
I think
oh,
that's the thing.
here's
Yeah,
the
because
eccentric
we've touched on a
fucking
lot of things on
professor,
that, like ETs, UFOs,
and it's
but throw
also,
all that away because to
you
some
know,
people that biases them against it and they all think
fashion.
we're all cranks. The fact is that the evidence is there in the photographs. That's we have not been told
Who
the true
knows?
story. What the exact true story is.
I've
we're
got
not too
another
sure,
one
but
though
the evidence is there for
about
all to see,
Princess
not just
Diana.
people with
Now,
what others might call
that'll
crazy
tell
beliefs.
by its
It's up to
age
people
from the
to take
90s
the
as well. So
photographs, see
yeah.
for themselves what people like David and Mary and the rest of us are
So
saying.
I'll tell you what, I'll do a really weird one just for the hell of it, right? Anyone, and let me see, this is the way I started this hangout. You hear all that weird noise? That's just like I have the guitar beside me. And I'm just hitting off the strings. I just have a weird. I got this weird box, and what it does it emulates like things like phaser and flanger and all from the old days, and so just you know fiddling around there. So listen, people that are there, if you want another one of these, right, with maybe me talking over, and listen, to be fair, they're out there, but I'll also upload them just as proper videos, you know, so to speak. But because it's just a hangout, just craziness, and I'd rather be doing this than, you know, even paying attention to any of the drama that's going on anymore. And in a kind of a sort of to have a sort of a separate platform as well, because like, what did I call my radio? Outside radio. Well, why did you call it outside? Because I was already, you know, met people and into groups and all that, you know, free man and all that kind of stuff. So once bitten, twice shy. So outside, but also just meeting people, you know, that are cool. So, and drinking my own homebrew as well is pretty cool. So that's what I'm doing tonight, peeps. So I don't even want to do the stupid chat box, press 1 or press 2, you know, all even that is kind of like that's the kind of stuff that I avoid anyway throughout my life, and I hope other people avoid it as well. So all I'll say is that if anyone wants to hear another one of those shows from the 90s, and that one is all the bloody Diana conspiracy. And this is the point. This was the stuff that they were putting in the mainstream. And so to have a show like that, you know, at 12 o'clock at night on Channel 4, when even then it's kind of like appealing to people who are like want to know more. You see what I'm saying there? It's like, you know, we already know that TV is that. You know, it's there for that reason of propaganda and all that. But so, you know, I'm not going to go all philosophical. I've already said that. I've said it enough times, you know. Like we you know, we always tell people turn off their TVs and blah blah blah. And then like last year I started saying, yeah, we should turn off our internet as well. Now, I haven't, obviously, feckin' obviously, I haven't done that, right? Or I wouldn't be here. But, or no, I would still be here. You just wouldn't be hearing me. And we'll leave that to the spelling, you know, Gestapo. I don't know, I'm getting silly now. I'm just going to feckin' play it anyway. I don't even know if this is still working because it was freezing up earlier on. I had to restart. I don't know what way it is in the sharing thing. The chat has frozen up. I'm trying to type into my own chat. I can't chat. So what I'll do is I'm going to refresh the page and just see is anyone even feckin' listening, you know, because it is pretty weird, you know. That there's nothing moving. Oh, here we go. Oh, things are moving again. I see the chat moving. Yeah, Nostradamus. No. Yes and no. Yes, I know the Ron Johnson character, just like everybody else that is familiar with the video that I just played. I understand all that, man. But I'm also sharing the shit that said, because there's a lot of people out there that don't know, you know, Ron Johnson. So that's what I'm saying. It's all, look, we're just looking into their stuff, and if you didn't already hear me interrupting, probably a lot of other people were just watching it, and then I start talking and bullshitting. Like I'm sure I said at one stage, here's Tavistock's, you know, latest grouping in the time, you know, and yeah, come on, man. You know, it's all fucking, you know, good here, right? That's what I want to say. And yeah, so I might just put on another Ron Johnson. Have you ever heard of a Ronson lighter? Right? I wouldn't be surprised if Ron Johnson is some snotty nosed grandchild from some other family called Ronson or whatever. That, you know, what I used to say this before is that if you already have, you know, gotten all the marbles, right, and you're controlling the world or whatever, and you build a system up, and you know, and create all these stories and culture and whatever, just to pacify everybody else who's not in on it, right? What happens then is the longer that goes on, and when I say longer, I mean sort of, you know, intergenerational wise, but not as vast as we're always being bombarded with 2,000, 30,000 years ago, you know, blah, blah, blah. Or lizards under the fucking bed, you know. No. I'm just saying, when it continues on, the more, right, the people that you're controlling, or, you know, whatever, right, lording over, they're increasing. And on the same side, or the other side of the balance sheet, the elite, they're fucking increasing. And also, they're being affected by the very thing that the elite are putting out to try to dumb down and cut back on I know it sounds bloody weird, but look, feck it. I'm just thinking out loud at the moment. So you get to the stage where you've got more and more of these elite sons and daughters, and it's kind of like Boss Hogg, and then he's got the sheriff with the fucking stupid son who's also has authority, and try magnifying that, or you know, sending it out exponentially across a plane, and you see what I'm talking about. And we're in a system where a lot of the people who are just like us, just people who, you know, for many of a reason over the, you know, the time, you know, they slot into working for that area. And then you've got other people that are just not fucking having it at all. And, you know, the colloquial thing would be never the twin would meet. And I would like to think that, well, no, it's not never the twin will meet. You know, people have to get caught on sometime or other. And in the meantime, there's fucking YouTube. So there we go. So I'll just shut up now, and I'm squinting, trying to look at the chat, and I'll just do a shout out to the people who are still here, and Rolo and Larry is here, and Nostradamus, quite clever name, but like in all of the histories of making up, excuse me, in making up names, they're still making up the names, so that's never going to be you know. So all right, guys, here we go. Right, I'm looking at the time. It's getting into silly o'clock in the morning, but I'm still on a, you know, an awakeness. And for anyone who's still listening, Night is there, and Looney is there, Looney, Lisa, and Rolo is still there. Typo, you're there. Typo, why haven't you got a wrench? Oh, I know why you don't have a wrench. You probably drop it into the bloody computer or something. I'm only joking, man. Seriously, I'll give you a wrench for now. And when I wake up in the morning and go, fucking hell, I've given out wrenches there. So what I do is I just delete all the wrenches and then give them back when they come back in. It's called being memory deficient. But as long as I can remember some important stuff, that's the point. So anyway, listen, without further ado, I'm just going to find that other video and play it for you. And in the meantime, if anybody does want to have the link, and we'll just have a chat about it, you know, you can say so, and we can recycle spanners. That's a good one. Look, and the only reason for spanners, in a way, right, is to be able to post links. And you know, if I had me way, if I was YouTube dude, I would say, why can't anybody just post a link anyway? You've already gone through the whole YouTube process and all that bullshit to be able to be even in a fucking chat, you know? So you shouldn't need a spanner to fucking post a link. Now, the other thing is, you need a spanner if you have some idiot wanker coming in, you know, trying to throw a curveball, all the curvers, and there's a lot of flat fucking assholes too who I think are just, you know, abusive, and they'll come in and, you know, blah blah blah. But you see, that's what happens then, is that when people do get a wrench, all of a sudden it's kind of like, you can't get into this club. You just say, someone come in, never seen them before, they've got zero fucking. Do you remember the first time you joined into YouTube? You had zero fucking views as well. Zero everything. You know what I mean? And I can see the other side of the argument before anyone starts freaking out. You know, you've got, like, that's what the trolls and all those disruptors do. They just make another account and blah blah blah. But I think, like, there's a good, and you know, whatever percentage, you know, you want to make up yourself at this stage, because, you know, I'm not just going to rattle out a random thing, but I'm sure there are real people out there who, you know, across the spectrum of the live hangouts of, you know, flat earth, conspiracy, you know, whatever you're having yourself, that someone with zero subs and whatever, and might even have, like, a name that, you know, just whatever, and just hello, and bang, they're gone. That's a potential real person that's just gone, right? And then on the other side of that coin, you've got, like, I don't even want to mention names, because I don't want to be that fucking nonsense, because there's enough of that out there. So, like, forget about the drama bullshit. But just to try to, you know, explain it or put it in its place. But anyway. Yeah, the wrenches. Oh man, it's all about the wrenches, isn't it? What did they say in that quotation from? Oh, yeah, I'm really getting fucking hell. The one-eyed man is the king in the land of the blind. Remember that one? And that came from one of H.G. Wells' stories. I used to have, well, I have them all anyway on PDF or whatever, but I did have a really cool hardback uh, book of all of the complete works of H.G. Wells. And I mean, the pages in it were like really thin, very, very thin rice paper. Do you know, like you'd see a Bible, you know, a King James, or you know how thin that paper. This thing was that kind of GSM. It was like fucking, you know, 15th century microns. But yeah, that book, I tell you, you should fucking check that out. And you know, it's like Mandela effect and everything else. It's just like you just can't go into the library and even, you know, check that one out. And like that, give it a lend to somebody, and then they feck off, and it's gone. So does it even exist then at that stage? So I'm trying to tell you about a book that, you know, you can look at and say that doesn't exist. But no, it does exist. The stories of H.G. Wells is really fucking, you know, it's not just the ones that are always pointed out, you know, the ironclad, you know, they go, oh yeah, H.G. Wells predicted a tank, you know, years before it was, you know, invented, you know. Yeah, well, we know, you know. And the thing is that he, you know, that one, you know, the you know, the one-eyed man is king. You know, you'll have enough people there go, yeah, the one eye, you know, all of that, you know, it's all there. But anyway, I'm not going to bullshit anymore. Okay, well, yeah, Rolla, you stop the stream, and it's grand, you know, but I don't even know whether I want to bother playing another one then. This is getting silly now. All right. Does anybody want to watch another one of those 1997 shows from Channel 4? Or no? I wouldn't normally give a feckin' wrench to a dumbass, but if I give it to you, will you use it wisely? Yeah, we're doing Scientology now. This is like, do you remember in the old days they had a scary movie called oh, here we go. What the hell was it called? Oh, this is crazy. Carrie, right? Do you remember Carrie? And it was all about her menstrual problems and shit, but she had like psychic telekinesis powers. Now, I remember back in the 80s, I used to read a magazine called The Unexplained. This is weird. You got a magazine called The Unexplained, and you'd be reading about shit about Carillion photography and you know, spontaneous human combustion and UFOs and all the usual Bigfoot, all the paranormal stuff, which, you know, I get to where we are today, and I'm saying, yeah, they were all laid out. You know, we have Tavistock, we have the CIA, and you see, we're talking about that stuff because who, you know, if we know it's the CIA and Tavistock, and where did we learn that from? Well, from the CIA and Tavistock, I suppose, and whoever DARPA, they gave us the computers, and you know what I mean? But at the same time, right, they should be fucking hanging their heads in shame because they've used the rest of everybody else's brain power, their physical strength, their energy in creating all this nonsense. And, you know, so anyway, I'll shut up now. I'm just going to play another one of these. Why not? Well, do you know what I'll do before that? Is I'll go to the jacks and I might play something which wouldn't be copyright restricted as the bullshit here. And when I get myself more organized as well, I'll also be simultaneously streaming on, you know, outside radio. At a lower audio bit rate for certain people, for all my friends. Rollo, go to Wikipedia and look up sniping. Put sniping and YouTube in the same field, and then you'll know why I'm not putting it in the chat. But on, you know, actually, the last time I was on, I put the link in the bloody chat, and nobody bothered us, you know. And you know, I might do that when they come back from the jacks. But at the moment, I'm here looking for something to play that won't automatically put this video on some sort of a, you know, lockdown, which is happening a lot lately, you know, just as Pichet. And I don't care what the rest of you think of the dodo and all that. That is definitely a fucking major thing to look into. But, you know, it's like everything else. You know, stick with the, you know, the freaking YouTube, MTV, Potato, you know, Sergeant Pepper, Sergeant Bilko, way to go. JLB can go do his own hangout. And I just say that as somebody who has his own thing to do, you know. You know, we can't pick our families, but we can definitely pick our friends. So anyway, JLB's, you know, got he's famous in his own lunch hour. He doesn't need me to give any more oxygen to his, you know, his thing. I just do my own thing. That's why it's outside radio. Good night, Looney. Good night, Looney Lisa. Thanks for stopping by. And I'll post these videos of these strange 1997 Channel 4 things. Yeah, as long as Channel 4 don't freak out. That's the reason why I decided to play them on a Hangout, you know, at least, you know, they're not just up there, but anyway, take care and be well. And I'll also say to everybody, be more, because how, you know, we've been brought up to say bless you as you sneeze, or, you know, and that's, if you break it down, it's like be less, you know. So be more you, you know, at you, be more you. All right, I'll be back in about 6.11 minutes. I'll go to the Jacks and I'll leave you with Simon Shack and his band Social Services and a song called Relativity. The Relativity, I should say. And that's what it's called. The lyrics are fucking gold dust, and the music is bloody the best. So I'll be back in a minute, and enjoy this if you're still here, and then we'll tuck into some more whole Channel 4 videos.
Looks like it's real, so real on the surface. Looks like it's real, so real. The levels of insanity are there for all of us to see. It's what you call reality, just relativity. The relativity of reality on TV. This life is real, so real on the surface. Looks like it's real, so real on the surface. The levels of insanity are there for all of us to see. It's what you call reality, just relativity. The relativity of reality. The relativity of reality. the reality.
Okay, guys, I'm back. Yeah, I'm going to play this other video, and I'm sorry, man. Gub, man, I can't type back at the moment, so I can't type into the chat. I'm charging up the keyboard, which is a dodgy thing, but anyway. And if there's anybody around, cool, man. Yeah, I'm glad you can hear me. If there's anybody around then after this, I'll throw the link out and, just join. Effective snipers, it's only 5 minutes of bullshit if that happens. And yeah, all right. So let me queue up this next one. This is the one about Princess Diana, do you remember it at the time? It used to be Lady Diana, and then it was Princess Diana, and it was all very cloak and daggerish, school teachers and all that. But hang on, I can still do this. Can you hear that? That's just me messing on my guitar with not even playing it, just hitting off the strings. So, all right, I'm going to queue up this then, and after that, link out to anybody who wants it. Right, we'll get back to this now.
Hello. Was Diana murdered?
Right. Now, hopefully, this is still being shared. Have a quick check on the yeah, I think that's okay. So, right, I'm just going to play this without any more adieu.
And if so,
and I'll drop the link, Rollo, after this.
Strangers seen hanging around the Ritz that night? Was Henri Paul really drunk? What of the mysterious white Citroen or Fiat with the big dog that zigzagged out of the tunnel on that fateful night? So many questions, but tonight we will answer all of them.
My name is Simon Regan, the founding editor of Scallywag magazine. I truly believe that a plot to assassinate Princess Diana is entirely feasible.
My name is Sharon Campbell and I'm a writer. Like many of the general public, I don't believe that accidents just happen to major league players like the Princess of Wales.
My name's Pete Jarvis, and I don't believe Diana died as a result of the car crash in Paris last year.
My name is John King, and I'm an investigative journalist. My information is that Diana was assassinated for political and constitutional reasons.
My name's Charlotte Cox, and I'm an actress. I believe that the thought of the royal family having blood-tie connections with one of the largest arms dealers in the world sealed Diana's fate.
My name is Jeff Steinberg. I'm an editor with Executive Intelligence Review magazine in the United States. I believe it's time for the French magistrate to come forward and announce that he is now pursuing a murder investigation rather than a traffic accident. On the question of murder, I think that there's two things that are already fairly well established and acknowledged about the events that took place in Paris on August 31st. Number one, there was a second car involved. That car has disappeared from the face of the earth. The identity of the driver is unknown. And to be aware of that and not at least leave open the very strong possibility that you're dealing with some kind of vehicular homicide, which is a form of murder, is a mistake.
Plus, she didn't go to the nearest hospital, did she? She went
There were
to that
5 other
one.
hospitals closer, one
Yes,
of which
but
is the
surely-
best hospital available.
So do you think that the French know where the car is and
No.
are covering it up?
No, not necessarily.
I think I mean, if I'm allowed to say, I think MI6 is certainly involved, our intelligence. I don't think it's anything to do with our politicians or the royal family, because I think Big Brother is much higher and much more powerful than they are. And I suspect that happening in France was very convenient, because I just don't think they could have, A, stopped a crowd from forming, and B, she would have been airlifted straight away to the nearest hospital. And so I sort of feel that's why France was chosen.
But Sharon, you believe that she wasn't killed in the tunnel, she was killed beforehand?
Yeah, I believe she was, well, I'm not sure about beforehand. Was she crushed? I mean, there is the Sion Priory conspiracy side. I think actually she was killed at the Salpêtrière. I've been looking into the history of it. Now, it started out in 1662 as a prison to dispose of the dispossessed. Then it turned into an asylum. And by 1882, Jean Charcot, the hypnotist, was working there. He was the man in charge. Now, what it had was an exclusively female inmate population, and he did hypnotism experiments on these people. He mind controlled them. He tried to separate them from their souls, from their sanity. And in time, he was joined by, who was it? Carl Jung, Clement Freud, not Clement Freud, sorry, Sigmund Freud, and Gilles de Tourette, who was actually shot and wounded by one of the female patients one day, who said, well, you've separated me from my sanity, you've hypnotized me too many times. Now, I'm wondering if those hypnotism experiments of Charcot's went on to become the forerunner for the CIA mind control program and also the KGB mind control programs, because my idea is
Don't
that
forget, guys, this was mainstream television in '97.
Psychologically in some way, because the Salpêtrière do neuropsychiatry experiments also with psychotropics. So
the Ritz, so the photographs in the Ritz, that was a Diana lookalike.
That's it, exactly. I think it was a Diana lookalike, because there's also a Dodi lookalike, Mohammed Saeed, who's serving 2 years in a Canadian prison for impersonation.
But don't you think Alfred himself would have known, because it wasn't he in the Ritz at the
possible,
time?
but I think Alfred knows perfectly well what is going on. In the days after the accident, he looked grief-stricken, but he also looked guilt-stricken.
Steady on there.
You're actually talking about an absolutely super conspiracy.
Get your shoulder pads out.
It requires a lot of involvement, a lot of planning.
Yeah.
But put it this way, does it matter what type of conspiracy? The fact that I think we're discussing it here and now is because we're very unhappy with being told it wasn't.
This is what they were showing us
no matter
over here.
how it or when it happened.
And I was in Ireland and I got this
My
crap.
feeling is that the devil's very much.
And look at the fucking curtains behind them.
A great
Look at that
deal of
scallywag.
transparent, visible, known details. There are eyewitnesses who've come forward.
Look at Mr. CIA with the
too.
fucking glasses
Right.
there.
I mean, you've basically, I've tracked down and interviewed some of them, but seen the statements made by about a dozen witnesses who each had a kind of a snapshot view of events, say, in the 60 seconds or several minutes before the crash and then the several minutes after the crash. I'm struck by the consistency of the pieces of the picture that they tell. The car, the Mercedes, was
Remember
under attack by
$16 million man?
automobiles and
There's Oscar
motorcycles.
Goldman. There's your
So the fearful
generic
section was just one of them.
CIA
Right,
agent
and it seems to me credible that
on a fucking
I don't
English
think that they're wrong on the
television
fact that it was
program.
a Fiat. I think the level of forensic testing that's been done, and
Yeah, the Citroen came up much later.
Yeah,
right,
too late.
and there
Look
were
at the
other cars
curvature of his
involved. I think
fucking glasses, man.
as I recall,
He's got
Beverly
GoPro
Jones
glasses.
does remember that there was a white car that was trailing the Mercedes.
Then how did it get in front?
Didn't it come around the other way?
Well, I think that what we don't know, at least what I don't know, is what precisely happened in that, say, 15, 30-second period, that final stretch of the road along the same river.
Look at the
Clearly a number of
hat
other
in the
cars were
television
right on
studio.
the
It's
tail
like
of the
they're trying to
Mercedes.
make a
There's one
collection
eyewitness
of
account by Francois Levy
funny
saying that a
people that
car
poke fun
sped
at.
by
Look
the
at the
Mercedes, cut in
conspiracy
front of it, jammed
people.
on its brakes, and might have been, this may have been the Fiat. I mean, those details are simply
There he is, the fetch.
not,
Good man, type
to my knowledge, fully known. But there are many transparent reports of people who saw different things.
He's got
There
Mr.
were,
Huffar's
a lot of
credit
closed-circuit
card number. Do you want it?
footage taken, which the French police seem to believe that every closed-circuit TV in central Paris was not functioning during that 10-minute
is one of the
period.
most suspicious things of all time, because
Right.
it was the only
He's got a
time
load of
in
white
the whole
goods
history of the
to
traffic
move
system in
to
Paris
Saudi
that
Arabia.
all 28
Fridges
video
full of
traffic controls were not
M16s,
working.
maybe.
Right.
From the time they left the Ritz, which is the last thing we got, there were 3 in the
This
tunnel
guy,
itself
Simon
that
Regan.
were not working. They were
He's
not
a ray
functioning. They
gun.
had not functioned for about 20 minutes before they left.
He's got
the
the
Ritz.
Jim Mars hat.
Funnily enough, also, and I've researched this extremely well, there was tremendous traffic.
A perfect
interference
picture
on
conspiracy
radio. The radios
investigator.
were cut out entirely.
You know,
As they left,
watch out for the Dells of the future.
Sorry?
This is what you're going to see.
No, it was cut out.
Just nothing.
Yeah. My actual source was a radio buff.
He is definitely a Jim Mars type. You know, got the friendly, cuddly, eccentric,
all of a sudden,
hat-wearing dude. You know,
all radio.
I come in peace. Look at these UFOs.
The police have not answered it. I've asked
Project
them,
Avalon
and I've
hat,
asked them in this
exactly,
country.
typo.
I've asked the Payad family.
No
one can answer for that.
cheetahs or leopards were harmed in the filming of this.
About 4 weeks beforehand, and you know, my theory being MI6 or whatever, super intelligent people, whatever, getting together.
Super establishment.
Yeah, super establishment. Basically,
it's not attributed.
Remote control.
Yeah, let's have a jump
but
room.
remote control, you know. There was one chap, it was the chap who survived. Basically, his seatbelt was on.
Right.
And
She's still in the 80s. Look at the suit. She's, you know, the shoulder pads and everything.
The seatbelts could easily, you know, remote control could easily sort of.
And there was no
take them on once they're
seatbelts
crashing.
seatbelts on the Starship Enterprise.
Digitally controlled.
Yeah.
And you could have sat on the bank.
They all had their seatbelts on, but then remote controlled. They
Especially Diana.
Jones's, which was then remote controlled put on.
Yes. Well, no, I don't know about remote control to put it on. I don't know exactly.
Anyway, this is just for educational purposes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not pushing this shit. I'm just showing you this shit.
So why was
This shit's already out there.
Because he put his seatbelt on.
And also, going back to your mental sort of brainwashing number, couldn't he have perhaps been the plant, if you like? I mean, it's awful to say it. You know, without him knowing, his mind could have perhaps been.
It's fucking classic.
Exactly.
Classic
They're trained
TV.
to take it off in an accident. Someone who's a bodyguard is actually trained to take theirs
The
off, not to
90s.
put it on. And he is SAS, ex-SAS.
That's true, ex-SAS,
you know?
but the question is, why were they still on the wrong road? I mean, they should have been on the road going above the armour underpass turning up George V Avenue, but
Far
they were
too many.
actually chaperoned under
Oh yeah,
the
you see,
underpass
you
by who?
you spotted
The
it,
explanation I've heard is that I mean,
Nostradamus.
remember that the Mercedes was being chased. There were a
Larry,
couple
to
of
tell you the
vehicles and
truth, I'd rather
motorcycles,
be
and
watching this
one could
shit
presume
than
it was
all the
predominantly
bullshit
the
that's been going
paparazzi,
on.
but
You know, that
until we
passes
know
for flat
who
earth
was
at
driving
the
the
moment.
Fiat,
So yeah,
why it is
I
that it
you know,
disappeared from the face of the earth.
just
What else
gotta
do we know
look
about
at,
the Fiat? We
you
know that
know,
there was a big dog in the Fiat.
nobody has to
No, we
look at
don't.
this
Actually, I
shit. They don't want to.
Someone from a
Just-
block of flats outside the tunnel said that they thought there was a dog in there.
And a couple of people driving in another car.
Because I've got to say that filled me with some doubt. Because I thought if you're going to
Well,
assassinate
good
somebody,
man,
you don't
I
put a
wouldn't
big dog
even
with
give
you,
that
because dogs are
guy
predictable, they might jump on you
If
when
we're
you're
trying to
advertisement
understand
because
how it was done,
he is
and
the,
if in fact
you
the
know,
Fiat Uno,
the
the white Fiat Uno was
the head
involved,
honcho, you
then
know.
it could be
So
significant
this
that,
stuff
it could have been done
is
by
like,
Raygun, or it could have been done by all
like
sorts
I
of
said
people.
earlier, it's
In
like,
which case,
you know, the
a
top
dog
of the
is-
fucking class of
it would look
Tavistock
like
at
a
the
dog, or
time,
it would
you know,
be
just
made to look like a dog,
pushed
or
him
whatever.
out there.
So it was a kind of non-dog thing.
Well, I personally don't
A
think that
projection.
anyone
Yeah.
out on an assassination plot would take
Probably
a dog with them.
fucking
that's what I
filmed
think,
over
because they're
days, man.
unpredictable.
But
Both
you
the
got
eyewitness accounts
red
of
curtains,
2 or 3
gold
people who
curtains,
seem
and
to have
green
been
curtains.
close to
And
the
I
scene
suppose it depends on
seconds
the
before
light
the
then,
crash
you know.
was British Secretary Brenda
They
Wells,
just,
who gave some
and then
statements
Ronson, it
both to the
depends
French
what he's
police and to the
smoking as
media
well, you know.
shortly after the crash. The forensic tests on the car have
Yeah,
shown
but the
some
fetch
interesting
there
things.
is
Number
really
one,
like
the
CIA, isn't it?
confirmation, and I think they're fairly specific about the fact that it was a Fiat Uno,
White.
probably manufactured between 1984 and 87. It was a turbo
See,
model,
they're talking about
which is,
models
by the
of
way,
Fiat
faster
Uno.
and has a greater
When,
acceleration than the
you
Mercedes.
know, they're
People
not
might
going
tend
to
to just
say,
automatically
oh,
assume that a Fiat up against the
you know,
Mercedes is going to be a
she could
slower,
have been a complete
smaller, less
fabrication.
powerful car.
Ooh,
Now, as I
don't
understand
say
it, there's
that.
also been questions raised by some of the medical tests and the forensic tests suggesting that the airbags on the Mercedes had
Blew up before.
detonated prior to the main crash head-on impact. Again, I think that there
Ronson on
that there's
opium
lots and lots
24/7 and the rest.
details, eyewitness information
4x2 as
is
well, you
out
know.
there
Well, that goes
and is
without
being
saying, doesn't it?
suppressed. I mean, I've spoken to several witnesses who were horrified at the treatment that they received from the French after the fact. The French want this to be a garden variety.
I don't think it's just the
drunk
French.
driving.
You keep
I
saying
agree.
French. I'm sorry, I think it's Big Brother.
It really is a
conglomerate of
classic
individuals from
example
all
of
the power.
Well,
Well, I think it's got to do with the arms
controlled
race.
opposition.
You know,
Let's
we make
just
money. You know,
create
this country
a
makes money, doesn't it? Selling arms
a
to
freak
the Arab
out,
states
you know.
to
Yes,
fight
it's all
the
oil and
Israelis.
money.
Yeah.
It's all oil and
Yeah.
gas.
And that's the thing.
Right.
Now, Diana, in her naivety, if you like, and they tried to suggest that she was very naive with all this landmines and all
Not
that.
really.
But unfortunately, she's
I've
also
got
in a very
one
powerful
with
position without her realizing it.
Right.
I think
the white
race
van
is a
man
very
as
important
well.
thing to try and establish.
Well, if you learn anything from watching JFK, it's what Donald Sutherland said. It's not the who or the how, but the why.
Yeah, exactly. And what got me intrigued in all of this in the first place really was
Frogs?
that I'm an investigative
Typo?
journalist, and over the years I've built up a few
I would say
sources
more
of
like
contact within the intelligence community. Now,
what's his name again?
1 week prior to this event, on the 23rd of August last year,
Tim
I
Refat.
received some information.
One of these
led me to
shows,
believe,
that's
say,
where
that this
Tim
very
Refat
event was
popped
about
up.
to happen within a
And
very
you
short
know,
period
he's
of
been
time.
on rent since
So
1994.
I've been able to,
1994,
over the
that's a long
past
time.
months,
Like, that's 23
for
years.
myself anyway, corroborate and
complete
substantiate that information.
Are you able to tell us what it
bullshit
is?
and
I'm reluctant to
you know,
talk too much about it on a
fabrications.
program like this because I can't.
You can always talk about it in
That's
broad
for another day.
Well, that's what I am talking about. It in very
But
broad
slightly
strokes.
narrower strokes.
Well, one of my intelligence sources intimated that this very incident was about to happen, and the reasons given were both political and
Oh shit!
constitutional.
Thanks, Larry. I've lost it here as well.
That there was a link between
There's something
the US
with
and
this
Britain. There
fucking
was
Google
a kind
thing,
of a joint operation at
and
some
you
level
have to
somewhere.
keep
I don't know what level. but there was CIA.
It's still saying that I'm
involvement.
fucking sharing, you know.
Now,
That's what
the American involvement largely was, which is why I jumped in there, to do with the landmines issue.
hopefully
Not
that's
just
working
the
now.
landmines issue, but Diana, remember, was
Present to
someone
everyone as well.
much like JFK and like Martin Luther King. She was one of those very rare people.
But like I
whatever you
said,
thought
man,
of her,
I'll put these
she had
up on the
tremendous
channel anyway. You know,
charisma. She
just
could mobilize public
this is just
national opinion
talking
like
over
that.
and bullshit and
And
guitar
yeah,
and
I think
shit.
that
You know,
frightens a lot of people in certain areas. I mean, we must realise the kind of conspiracy, the kind of people
it's called
Diana
being
was
human.
confronting by standing up and making a stand on the landmines issue. And there's a lot of information to say that she may be moving on to other issues.
I'd heard, and I don't know whether or not it matters whether or not she was, but they were already talking about her being pregnant before she was killed. This information came to me before she was, if you like, I mean, I think she was assassinated, but before she died. Now, the point is, you're then dealing with the fact that she was going to produce a boy or girl who was basically going to be the half brother or sister to Prince William and
Charlotte
Prince Harry.
Cox.
Therefore, huge embarrassment to the
That's
royal
not lost on me
because,
now.
Al Fayed's uncle is one of the largest
was
armed
below
forces
my
in the world.
radar then, but
I should
I
say, by
see
the
it
way,
now.
that one of the things that I found very chilling,
Fucking
the
shoulder
Sunday
pads.
Mirror of August 31st, 1997, in other words, the day of the crash,
Good man, Larry.
published a story, which was obviously written before Diana's death, saying that there was panic within the royal family over the relationship with Dodi Fayed, and in a certain sense, the relationship between the Spencers and the Al Fayed family generally, because they were both critics of the way that the Windsors were running the structure of the monarchy. And there was to be a meeting up at Balmoral Castle in Scotland several days later, at which the head of MI6 was to present a formal dossier on Dodi Fayed, and apparently the person who was most adamant about breaking up the relationship between Diana and Dodi Fayed was Prince Philip.
Could I possibly get back to the landmine thing? Because I think it's incredibly relevant, because all the conspiracy theories seem to think that landmines had a large part in it. I personally don't think so.
I agree with you.
Because the people who manufacture the landmines are on huge contracts to clear them.
Yeah.
And they're making a lot more money clearing them than they are producing them.
Correct.
But Diana in the Red Cross was a loose cannon, and she was becoming a hell of a pacifist.
Like, what would she come out with
She
next?
was going to all the war zones in the world. She was going to Bosnia. She was going to Africa, etc. And she's becoming a very dangerous person if you were into arms or into oil, or if you were into the two together. She was stepping on toes quite innocently.
Yes,
I agree. But she caught on to things that were taboo with the super establishment, like AIDS. AIDS was a tremendously taboo subject.
Sure.
You know, arms, wars. She was going to Bosnia. Now, the French and the Americans were supplying both sides.
I think we should continue with this discussion, certainly. But I want to go back, Sharon, I want to go back to the history of the tunnel, of the Pont de l'Alma, because that's quite interesting, isn't it?
Well, it's true. There's a lot of legend associated with it, such as sacrifice in the Merovingian era. Now, I was looking at the history of the Merovingians. Where did they come from? Apparently, in the Indian tradition, they have the Brahmin caste. Now, these Brahmin are the highest caste that there is. And apparently, they landed in, well, according to the Rig Veda, they landed on Mount Meru, and they all got out this shiny spacecraft, and they became known as the Brahmin. And the Brahmin, through the Indo-European religions, etc., gave birth to the Merovingian caste of kings in France. Now, they may have been the ancestors of Diana, and there may have been sacrifices at the Pont de l'Alma, but I haven't found any real evidence to tie it in with that place. It seems more that the sacrifice would have happened further up at the Ile de City, the Notre Dame area, further up the Seine. So I'm not sure about this legend and myth. It seems to me that this is an accident which has been orchestrated, and that it's been covered up like a William Burroughs story. It's full of subterfuge and images superimposed one on top of the other. It's got myth, it's got legend, it's got mind control. I mean, where is the truth?
It's also got fear, hasn't it?
Absolutely, it plays on fear, it thrives on fear. It's like the NWO, you know, if you're afraid of them, it gives strength to them. But it's like, yeah, Diana had met
New WO mentioned on mainstream media in 1997.
Been to Clinton's party, which was at Martha's Vineyard, hosted by Catherine Graham, chairman of the Washington Post. I mean, I don't think Diana was as innocent, you know, as is made out. I think she knew a lot.
Someone like Princess Diana, who you want to kill, and you've got the resources and the professional capabilities to do it, you're going to probably have multiple teams working on different kinds of situations.
How did anybody know they were going to go to that tunnel at that time?
Well, then that leads back to
unless they were following, or unless they were controlling the car,
or
they chaperoned
or whatever.
the tunnel.
In fact, the paparazzi, I don't think were paparazzi. I think they were trained officers.
We published in EIR magazine back about, I guess December of 1997, a series of photographs that we got from some sources in Paris, which were some of the closed circuit TV camera footage converted to stills, taken in the Place Vendôme and in the area around the Ritz Hotel from some of the cameras in adjacent buildings. And there were very definitely about 6 or 7 people who were in the area, who were not part of the paparazzi, because most of them are well known, not guests at the hotel, not French intelligence, but were very clearly there on surveillance for a couple of hour period prior to the departure of Diana and Dodi from the hotel on the fateful ride.
CNN's theory was that they were all CIA.
Well, as I say, right now what I do know is we've got photographs of some of these guys. Nobody has been able to say who they are.
So these mysterious strangers who are in the photographs, what were they doing in the photographs? And could you
Well, they were out in the ones I've seen. They were out in the plaza in front of the hotel. They were standing sort of at the edge of the crowd. One guy wearing a T-shirt and a baseball cap. Another guy just a sort of a street jacket. They were there for about a 2-hour period from shortly after Diana and Dodi arrived back at the hotel from his apartment. They had been planning to have dinner at a restaurant and canceled that because paparazzi were staked out at their apartment. I mean, the level of harassment and threats that they were under during that entire day from the minute they arrived in France is pretty dramatic.
The Harrods tapes, the videos, I've had them analysed professionally. And
you mean the Ritz Hotel?
Of Diana and Dodi coming out.
Which are virtually the only videotapes because the traffic system videos were not working. Whenever Henry Paul, the driver, is on tape, the frames don't match. So they've either been speeded up or they've been slowed down. I was using a video of it, okay, from television. What do you mean by this? Well, either they, either someone or the Ritz Hotel or whatever were trying to give a false impression of his behaviour immediately before he got to the car.
To make him look more drunk?
Or less drunk.
Or less drunk.
Diana.
So you think he was drunk? Because I thought that the general perception here is that he wasn't drunk.
I don't think he was drunk.
No, I don't think
he was.
Looking at that video, he seemed to be quite alert. I mean, for someone who was supposedly 3 times over the limit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if they're going to doctor
we're also dealing with a mother here who's going to see her son the very next day, and she would not have put herself in danger.
Lord Rhys Jones have allowed him to take the car.
It doesn't make sense.
Well, let's go to the details. I mean, again, this is where I'm deeply disturbed at the way the French have played fast and loose with the truth here. The French refused to allow independent autopsies of Henri Paul. They refused to allow the members of his own family to interview the doctors who did the post-mortem exams. Finally, under enormous pressure, all they agreed to do in return for Henri Paul being buried without further tests was they released the written report that was done by the people who did the blood tests.
But also
those reports, it's very important. Those reports were passed to certain very well respected forensic pathologists. And what they found was that the tests that were done the blood tests in particular, which is the only basis for claiming this 3 times over the legal alcohol limit, were so badly botched that you can't draw any conclusions.
The eyes, were they, to start off with?
They
They
took the samples from the chest cavity, which is a contaminated area because the various vital organs burst open. You had some combination of blood and lots of other
Well, I have
chemicals
also gained a doctor's testimony saying that for someone who is a habitual drinker, anyway, to actually register 3 times over the limit, you'd be staggering about all over the place.
Yes,
Never mind 1.5 bottles of wine. It would be more 1.5 bottles of whiskey.
When he left. Right. He came up 5 minutes before the royal party left and said we'll be leaving in 5 minutes. And they attest that he was absolutely sober.
Right.
I'm sure he was.
Right. But your suggestion earlier, Simon, was that he was drunk and they doctored.
No, I wasn't suggesting that he was. I was suggesting that one way or the other, the videotapes that were released from the Ritz didn't match. According to one witness in the Savoy in the Ritz that I have interviewed, he had 2 Ricards.
Right.
Which is
that's acknowledged. Yes, exactly right.
It's a very potent drink. I know it well. if ever I had a son, I'd call him Ricard. But in fact, the first theory that I had was that his drink may have been spiked. If in fact you take a grapefruit juice, it doesn't work with Prozac. It reacts in a very chemical way, which he was having. He was on a course of Prozac, and into a fruit juice you could have poured pure alcohol, very very easily, without tasting it. No, it's tasteless and it's colourless and it's everything else.
Yeah, I'm sure
that if in fact it was on Ricard, the story didn't quite hold up. So I've got the feeling he probably was a bit tiddly.
I'm sure there are 101 ways to make someone appear to be 3 times over the limit. If you have a very highly organised operation of that nature happening. I'd like to go back to what Sharon was saying just now about the Merovingian linings. Although it sounds a little bit strange and weird, it's very important, I think, because talking about bloodlines, the Merovingians are also of legend, and also there's a lot of historical evidence to say that they're the direct lineal descendants of the Judaic royal dynasty, including, as we know, Solomon and Jesus, and taking that bloodline on. And also, just to interject there, that we know that the Catholic Church usurped the Merovingian right to rule, if you like, when they assassinated King Dagobert II in 679 AD. And taking that bloodline on as it crossed over to England and eventually appeared again in the Stuart dynasty, that's really where the House of Windsor and the House of Spencer come into the frame, is with the Stuart dynasty. And it's interesting that the House of Windsor family tree is seen as the royal and the legitimate bloodline up to this point, up to today. And Diana's bloodline was the bastard, illegitimate child of Charles II, or one of them, and that's the tree we've got. And there's another Lady Diana Spencer around the 16th or 17th century, it was planned for her to marry the then Prince of Wales, Prince Frederick. And as soon as the Prime Minister, Sir Robert Walpole of the time, found out about that, he stepped in and prevented that marriage. So it's just an interesting angle on that.
So you think that you can trace Diana's bloodline right back to Jesus?
Well, there's a lot of historical evidence to say that you can, yes, and Prince Charles's too, both families.
I don't want to be a naysayer, but I was always under the impression that Jesus died childless.
Well, a lot of people are under that impression, but that's because we've been fed a religious a load of bullshit, frankly, and we haven't looked at the plain historical fact. We haven't looked at history. We've looked at religion. Religion.
Well, one thing that's clear is that there definitely was a challenge to the credibility of the House of Windsor, which Diana was a pivotal player in. She had directly said that Prince Charles was really not qualified to be king. There were various implications in that. One of a possible
personal reason, couldn't it? I mean, personally, he wasn't.
Well, it's possible that she actually found some evidence to corroborate that, because there was that statement she came out with a matter of days before the accident. I'm going to say something that will
Much
shock
bigger.
the world?
I thought that was her pregnancy.
Would that
myself.
be anything towards it?
Yes, she got out of a yacht, and as she got out of the yacht, she actually said, "Oh, I've got a much bigger
And
surprise."
she made various phone calls from the Ritz that night.
That was almost a threat, wasn't it? The way she said it, and
That's
I was
right.
dying to know what it was. And
But surely the blood
in a matter of
sample
days.
would have
Yeah.
shown whether she was pregnant or not. What we haven't addressed is the fact that the Fayad family have got, in their own right, incredible enemies.
Yeah.
Not only in the British establishment,
Yes.
you've got to understand that although the British followed the French in being very Arabist in their foreign policy, Egypt was not Arabist in their sense of the word. They were basically wogs. This is what he called himself. He said, "They think of me as a wog."
Right.
Okay, the Egyptians, dating right back to Sadat and even before that, over the Suez crisis, the Egyptians in the Foreign Office, in the eyes of the Foreign Office, and if you say Foreign Office, you can say MI6 in the same word. The Egyptians were absolutely the asshole end of the world.
Right.
Right. So there were natural enemies in the super establishment of the West. There were natural enemies, especially dating back to the Harrods fiasco, which was backed by Libya. There were natural enemies of the Fayad family. Diana might have been just indispensable.
So
They might well have
Dodi
been
was.
after her.
So you think that Dodi was would possibly the real target?
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that the British establishment was quite capable of turning a blind eye if and when they knew such an act was going to happen.
And do you think it was just a very fortuitous coincidence that Diana and Dodi were going to be in the same car together on that night?
No, I don't. I think it was planned for
I
months.
think they were very serious about
And-
each other, weren't they? And I think
Yeah.
before it was almost like I could imagine that she would like go out with him to annoy her family, but then I think she genuinely fell in love with this chap, and I think
Perhaps
he
with
did
each other.
with her.
I mean, there are
Yeah.
very serious implications to the British Constitution.
The violence out,
deal with that?
everybody.
If Diana and Dodi do end up
Having
getting
a child.
married, and even just getting married, let alone having a child. I mean, the
Was-
future
is-
king having
is this
a
because-
possible Muslim mother.
So it's because Dodi was a Muslim rather than Dodi was a member of the Al
Yeah,
Fayed
I think
family.
we were talking about it a bit earlier about the whole bloodline thing. The importance of it is the fact that the House of Windsor, represents the head, if you like, of the British
Blue
oligarchy. I don't separate the super establishment from the royal family. I think the royal family heads it up, and I think that there are upcoming upstarts. There are upstart Muslim families with the oil-rich nations these days that are moving in.
If
And
they'd
the
been
last
Saudi
thing the
Arabian, it would have been forgiven. That's my point.
Well, possibly, yeah, I
Egyptian
agree.
is
Yeah,
something else.
quite possibly. But either way, whichever way it is, the fact is that it wasn't. And
Do you think did Diana know that she was a direct descendant of Solomon and Jesus?
I have no idea. I have no idea at all.
So,
I don't think that. I mean, it's not the literal side of it. It's a lot to do with symbology and Masonic symbology. If we're talking about cover-ups, then you can bet your life there's some level of very high echelon Masonic involvement in this.
I don't know, it's because you've obviously got names.
The
that you could name if
Masons.
you wanted to, haven't you? And you've got names too, Simon, that you could name. And have the
I
two.
have known them.
Where do you hear that one
But you don't want
before?
to name them on this program for some
Well, mine are
But
named
it's
as
a
well,
fair
but I
thing, though,
deposited
isn't
them
it?
with my solicitor.
Yeah.
Have the two of you spoken quietly, maybe upstairs
No.
over sandwiches? So
No.
you don't know whether you've got the same names?
I'm
No.
sure we have.
Are you certain that you have?
I'm sure.
I
don't know.
suspect
I was
you've got
wondering because
different
if-
ones.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
suspect we have different ones.
No
I
more
was wondering if you could
flyovers, please.
possibly, because I'm, second best to actually knowing what the names themselves are. If you'd have found out if you've got the same names, that would give me some true song. So I was wondering if you could maybe even whisper, or either write it on a piece of paper and hand it secretly
No.
to Simon, or
No, because
whisper in
they're-
Simon saying, "Let's get a yes or no."
He
I
did
think we're
it in the
talking about
sitting
people
room
who are
with a
putting not
fucking
just their careers, but their
scale
lives
electric
on the line.
set
It's a very, very
typo,
sensitive
I
subject.
think.
We're talking about the possible assassination of the Princess of Wales. And if that is the situation, then there is an extremely high-level conspiracy and cover-up in operation to prevent that information reaching the public domain.
Just
There's
high
no way
level.
I'm about to, on a program like this, name sources or even their rank or file or where they may
See,
be or whom they
Channel
might work
4,
for,
1997,
and compromise their
naming
careers
a
and
high
their lives, their security.
Did you not hear of a woman that believes she saw someone walk out of the tunnel after the accident that
Run
looked
into a car
very
that
much
was waiting.
like Diana?
I despair at times,
She said,
you know. But
I heard
kind of
I saw a news
and she said
account.
she said that the woman
laughing at
ran
it
from
at
the
the
tunnel,
moment.
got into a car, and she said it looked very much like Diana. Now, that wasn't widely published. I managed to pick it up. I think there was an interview, perhaps on radio or something like
The
that.
first CBS report.
Yes,
First
yes, I
few
think it
hours
was.
after.
Yes.
Did she
I
say
remember that.
where she went?
She said, "Run to a car," and that's it.
And you know, while all this shit was going on, Specsavers were making glasses that you didn't have to look like you were looking through the bottom of Coca-Cola bottles
So do you think
anymore,
Diana faked her own
which
death, or
were
do you think
probably
she
sponsored
was,
by
she
Coca-Cola.
found
That's
herself
how
as
fucked up all
target?
that shit
And
is.
so
I think, listening to what the other people have to say here, I think she was just caught up in a web, and that probably they were after Dodie and not Diana. She happened to be there at the time.
And
And I
thank
think
feck,
that maybe she has been spirited away
shoulder pads
in some ways, so that they've
went the way as well of
They wouldn't have known whether
the New World Order.
there or not.
Yes, exactly.
It does mean
What exactly does NWO stand for?
Well, yes.
And where do you think she
Apart from
is?
shoulder pads.
There's so many facts around.
America.
Yes, America is very quite something there. There's so
They
many
didn't
facts
have
around the
enough
actual incident.
rubber
I mean,
cladding.
there's that one witness I just talked about.
We never saw
There's
her in the
also
coffin, did we? Which normally.
no one
Didn't
actually
see
see a body. No one has actually seen
Oh yes, the
a body
paparazzi
as
took loads of
such.
pictures.
Now that's another thing. He said
I've seen this guy
Besides
since
the
this
crash,
TV
that's the other thing.
program.
I'm not too sure. I mean, someone who is drunk.
Who does he remind you of?
Surely, especially with.
And I would love anyone to put in the chat box
Surely
who he reminds you of.
Despite the fact he's got paparazzi chasing.
Because he reminds me of someone, and I'll be honest,
The French police.
he doesn't look like him, but
not just simply
he
said
could
the
be
car
his
was going at
grandfather
120 miles an hour. They said
or his
we
father,
knew
maybe.
this because the speedometer read 120 miles an hour. We interviewed Executive Intelligence Review interviewed the safety engineers at Daimler-Benz, and the very first thing they
It's
said
true.
was
We got from them up.
whether it was a
Nice
30
one,
mile
Larry.
or 130 mile an hour crash, the speedometer goes back to zero.
Close,
so this was
but
a just premeditated
you
lie by
already
the
have
French.
cigars.
Right, exactly. Right, and an expert from the University of Birmingham just did
Near,
a
but not near enough.
computer simulation. The crash engineers at Daimler-Benz volunteered from day one to come down to France to work with the French police to help diagnose the car. Now, who would be better qualified than the people who
Your
designed
one with the
safety
shoulder
systems
pads and the grey
and they were
jacket
given
looks
a
like
cold shoulder
she's
and said,
thinking,
"No thanks, stay
I
away."
need
In fact, they
another
were told that they
fucking,
better not come down under
brandy.
any other venue
I
and try
wish
to
this
interfere
other
with the
fucker would
investigation.
just
So
shut
why
up.
would they say that the car was going 120 miles
Because
an hour?
they're
What would they-
creating a fiction. They create the fiction is high-speed drunk driving. That's the sole cause of it. Famous people, but a garden
They're
variety
pushing
traffic
drunk
accident
driving
that
now.
occurs every day. There
You
were
know,
also another very critical lie. The lies that come up around some very important issues. We were told initially
this guy
that the
probably
reason
moved
that
to
it took an
fucking
hour to
Thailand.
get Diana into the ambulance, forgetting that it took 43
Listen to
minutes
the
to drive
voice.
4 miles with no traffic on the street. But they claimed that she was pinned in the back seat because the compartment was crunched up and they had to do all sorts of things to get her out. You had visions of Texas chainsaws in there. Again, a total lie.
Yeah, he should
right
take
side, passenger,
A4
right
out
side
of that
the rear of
ring.
the compartment
Nostra
was not severely
dumbass.
damaged. People were able to open the doors.
Yeah,
this guy Rat was leaning over her.
the
like
more
some of the other
I
early
look at it,
eyewitnesses
yeah,
arrived.
he
So
could be the
again, you've
fetch
got
man.
stories that were put out, never in the form of a press release, never in the form of a press conference, but leaks
I
to
know
the
who you're talking about.
usual French
Dennis
media,
Fetcho.
from police sources, putting out information that was just categorical falsehoods to create, again, this overall impression.
And then there was the
drunk
TV
driving, maybe
well, it wasn't
complicated by a
TV, but it was
high-speed
the
chase with
cinema.
paparazzi,
But it went
but
into the
it was a garden
culture
variety
creation.
and
The
we're talking
Fletch.
here about a lot of
We're
evidence
looking
that
at the
says that things
Fletch
went
there
different.
as well.
Yeah, and the other thing that struck
Without
me
being
afterwards,
Dallas
after the
Goldbug,
event,
but
when
who's the actor
Clinton got
who
up and
played the
addressed the
Fletch?
nation and sort of
You know who it
announced that
is.
she actually died, etc. That guy was grinning all over his face. He was grinning like a Cheshire cat.
You can't help it.
He
His
knew
glasses need to be
He obviously
drained,
knew something.
really.
He wasn't playing that straight at all.
So who else do you think knows that she's still alive?
I would say, obviously, the
MI5 is taking over now. We're getting a real
Not the children.
I would possibly
civilized
yes,
version
yes,
of the
the children.
whole.
I mean,
What's the
culture.
motive
Look at
behind
the-
this?
look at
What's
the-
the motive for her? Why would she suddenly want to play this trick on it? It's taken into the realms
She's
of
not
fantasy.
actually, she has not actually playing the trick.
It is funny, man, isn't it?
What's happened
funeral.
is she got caught up in this thing with Dodie, and because
We've
of the
cut them
nature,
out, and it's
suddenly
funny.
she's had to be
But
taken away. If she survived the
bullshit's
crash,
still going on,
she's had
but
to be
like,
whisked away into
I know,
hiding.
I've cut them out.
I tell you who I've just
You
thought
know,
about.
you've cut them out.
William Hague.
He
never
He's
does,
another
does he?
Cheshire cat, isn't he?
Yeah, he's another Cheshire cat. Yes, that's true.
And they're laughing at the political
He's in the
structure
flippers. I mean,
that was
maybe
going on
it's
in
now-
1997,
He's in little flippers.
and we're still looking at the same
Tony
bullshit,
Blair's been sad since that set, but William
Yeah,
Hague
he's
is
actually
actually
Tony Blair, obviously, but he's got to play the part as well.
which
hasn't
I,
he?
you know,
Let's
just
face it, something like
just
this,
out
then
of, you know,
all
myself,
officials
just
that are in a public
totally
eye have to
rejecting
play the
them nothing
part.
to do. But
That's
yeah,
it.
that's when I
And I would
hit
think
off
that
my
children
guitar.
would
Did you hear
in
that?
actual fact be on this because
No way a child.
That was me
Two children,
deliberately
I mean,
hitting my guitar.
12 and yeah, there's no way a child.
And when I say hit, I mean
would
flick
they
with
follow
my
their
finger.
mother's coffin? A child of 12.
Yes, they couldn't
The
pretend
first
it was
one,
there.
yeah,
mother's coffin
I accidentally
through the
hit off it.
streets without a
But
single
as you
show
know,
of emotion.
Oh no, he showed so much emotion by trying to keep in his pain. That was the whole point about it. He was a brave little chap.
Yeah.
Now, my mother died recently, and
but I
I
don't think.
yes,
didn't
she
cry at the
is.
funeral because I wanted to do the best reading possible at her funeral.
Do you think that Pete's anthropological
He could still smoke on television. You see, this is before
regarding the-
all these insidious little trips came in.
Yeah, what about
And
anthropological? That's the right
when
word.
people,
Absolutely. I mean, I
you know,
don't know if you're a
people
parent,
should
but I'm a
just
parent.
automatically,
And, you know, my
by
little
default,
15 wouldn't
just
be able to pretend that
say,
something
no,
wouldn't stay
fuck
somewhere.
this.
And for it to be
You've got away with enough bullshit, you know, and at the same time robbing people of, you know, within the system.
Normal children as such. But
But
don't
they
forget,
are children.
Still robbing
children, yes,
everybody.
okay, yes, they are
And
children.
also,
They're children that are brought up to act.
you know,
No mother would put that onto a
take their
child.
freedoms
John,
away.
you look uncomfortable at all of this. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it takes a
Fuck
serious
that. Enough is
conversation
enough.
about the possible assassination of the
You know,
Princess of Wales into the
little
realms of
pencil
fantasy. Start
necks
talking about
have
her
been in
pretending
charge for long enough,
a death
so
like Elvis or
feck
something like
off.
that.
I think we haven't spoken much about Trevor.
And when I get my
Rees-Jones
keyboard
in
back,
this discussion. I thought there'd be
I'm
more
charging it at the moment.
Still alive and
I'll fucking put it in writing as well.
He's a strange character, and that his name is actually Trevor Rees or Trevor Jones, and the Rees or the Jones part is from his wife. He's added it onto his own name to make it.
Funny enough, though, it looks like
No, he's
Ronson's
got
the
very
only one
unusual
who's
background.
allowed
He's
to
so young
smoke
to have
there.
done so many things, to have been in the
The
SNL,
rest of them are all
etc.
it
on
was only a
on
couple of years
the
beforehand that Al fired
the
hired him,
American
didn't he? He just fired the two. He just hired the two
West
bodyguards.
Coast.
I mean,
Don't
that was
smoke in your
Now,
back
I've
garden or
had
we'll
a
SWAT team
serious
you.
operation myself, and I've been under anaesthetic,
You
so I know
fucking
how much
kidding
it
me?
can impair the memory. It
Is that
doesn't
all you
impair
gotta
the
worry
memory
about?
that much. So this man has got a
Fucking
responsibility,
weirdos.
a duty
They-
to tell
they should have
everybody what
fucking,
happened as much as he remembers.
you know,
and I suspect he's
But
been
he
went
hasn't
all.
tried.
amnesia is recognised.
No, I know
disorder
that it is
It's
a
a shock trauma
recognised thing.
disorder.
But it's also
Yeah.
But it's something
Oh,
you
shut
can't
up.
do
Convenient,
because
isn't it?
I did that myself. Now
Yeah.
you can gain back a hell of a lot
Well, maybe
of
he
forgotten
will.
stuff.
Maybe he's
But
the
also
only
maybe
one
he's
who
And it's
knows.
very
orders.
suspicious that he's
Ronson
been away by
lighters.
Al fired at, I don't know if it's
Well, he's been back to
Blanaghowan
Paris
Castle in
twice.
Scotland.
But what it was
She
a
was the 29th,
conspiracy
she died on the
made up of
Ronson, some little
fundamentalists,
brat, we
double
should
agents.
give him something to do. Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
yeah,
Have
same
a
size.
job
Let's
on
say that
Channel
there
4.
was an assassination plot from that
That's
direction.
pretty much what's
My
going on
opinion
there.
especially backed up by my own
type of
sources.
and
The British security
Grub
the
and
French
everybody
security
else
knew
out there.
about
You
it
know
and
what's
turned
going
blind.
on.
I
You don't
think
need
they
me
actually
to
caused
fucking
it.
tell
That's my
you.
opinion.
or
The point is,
interrupt
by
all,
turning a blind
you
eye,
know,
they
the
are
broadcast.
Of course. But I thought that,
Then
but I
again,
thought
it's
that
my
if there was an
broadcast, so
attempt to stop
fucking.
Britain becoming
I will
a
upload
Muslim
these,
nation, then surely
you know,
the
without
Islamic.
any
I think that came into it,
interruptions.
but I don't think it was the cause. I think when Diana went to Pakistan to meet Jemima Goldsmith, she did see the imam.
Goodbye, Mickey Ronson. I'm sick
she
and
did
tired
talk
of
to
bullshitting.
quite well documented about
No more
coming
digging conspiracies. I'll be digging lumps of gold.
the British
And
establishment,
sure
I
as
think,
me
especially
name
the
is Rency, I'll be
would have had kittens.
hanging out
She
in
had so much
Blarney.
influence on William.
No more
But she just
digging
possibly
pretties. I'll be digging lumps of gold.
So surely the last
As seen on Rents,
would
film at
be the
11.
Muslims. Well, fundamentalists are different. You know, they are extremists. And I'm not saying that it was an extremist plot. I think it could well have been a
That's,
Libyan
you
plot.
know, I'm
But the Libyans
having
were
a
the ones
laugh,
who came
but
out right at the beginning and said that it was a
you know,
murder conspiracy.
so many years of this stuff,
But
and
then that was
it
disinformation.
has been so
I mean, if
serious.
you're following conspiracy theories,
You know, it
that
still
was
is, but
disinformation. And I think
fuck's
there's been an
sake.
awful lot of disinformation, one way or the other, throughout the whole thing, including the French courts, police, inquiries. John Stalker actually pinpointed about 100 different ways in which the British police would have handled
But you see,
the inquiry differently, and it was very convincing.
Nostradamus and Gub
He dismissed
and anyone else who's still out there, Larry, you know, anyone who's listening and anyone who might be listening in the future, I'm sorry for talking over the shills for a minute,
I don't
but
personally go along with that. The
that's
idea
the
that
fucking thing,
community
right?
at any level had a hand in the assassination. No, I don't. I think there's ample reason to
I'll
suspect
I'll address this in
there's
Hangout
some
sometime.
kind of joint British and US oligarchy.
In fact, in the next one, I'll just shut up now.
Perpetrated an assassination. And I think America and Britain are far more comfortable nations now at certain levels of high government that Diana is out of the way. I think, if anything, Dodi was incidental, not the other way around.
The present government in the United States, I think, has been interestingly at odds with the British establishment on quite a number of issues of
Keep an eye on the fucking curtains in the background. Look at that.
The Clinton administration.
Keep an eye on the fetch there with the gold one.
Rogue elements within our intelligence establishment in the U.S.
Rogue elements.
A lot of the things that you're discussing.
Is that when an element breaks down in your fucking cooker?
Noteworthy in
white goods
being unenthusiastic or less than enthusiastic about the special relationship, even up to this recent apparent love fest with Tony Blair in Washington last week.
I don't think it was a part of the Clinton faction, shall we say, as we were talking earlier. It's definitely the big brother in America. It's very definitely divided.
Nostradamus. I know. I don't know who you are really, but you probably do know me. Maybe.
Right wing, because
maybe I do know you.
I mean,
typo, everybody else. This fucking thing is ending. It doesn't mean
no, we could
this thing is ending
tonight, but let's hope that this is the start of the floodgates being opened rather than the end.
It's called just.
Thank
you. Look at that CIA guy. Don't mind that Ron Johnson. Look at him lying back, scratching his head. And all that nonsense. Right? Now, I think what we'll do here now is just go all in. Let me see if I can do this actually. Stop all this sharing nonsense. Stop. Okay. Right, here we go. We'll have a chat. If anybody's around. See, that's the thing. I'm sorry, I haven't been able to type in because literally my keyboard, for the first time ever, just didn't have enough juice in it. So, look, guys, there's the link, right? You want to join? It's like harking back to the good old days, whatever that means. But there's the hangout, and I trust people to just use it and not abuse it. But anyway, having said that, at the end of the day, I don't really mind, you know. So I would love anybody there that has an inkling and wants to come in. You're more than welcome. So and in the meantime, then, which is now everyone's going, oh, nothing happening. Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. Although for the 14 people, well, because I can subtract one there for myself. So for the, or maybe two, for the 12 people listening. Oh no, that's crazy, isn't it? I can play something earlier on. Is there somebody there?
Yeah, it's me, Dell.
Ah, Roller, how's it going, man?
Very well. Let me just get rid of it. Is that my camera fucked up there? I spat on it or I came on it. Hold on.
Down,
We were going out. We were going out. The whole thing that you just did went live on fakeologist.com. Everything you did there. I played a few tunes over the top. Hello, hello, and who else have we got here? What's mate there?
Oh, Larry, man, how is it going, my friend?
Larry, hey guys, hey Rollo.
Pleased to meet you, Larry.
Yep, you too, Rollo. I think we met briefly the other day, actually. And yep.
Did we?
Yeah, it was briefly.
Are two icons from two different parts of the internet, and I'm sorry for being the Dell guy who gets everybody together. I'm sorry. I meet really cool people from different ends of the spectrum, and
how spliffed out are you, Del?
And you're one of them. So now that's all. I'm not apologizing for anything else.
one too many meads, I think, tonight. Look what I'm drinking.
Oh well, listen. At least I make it myself. So
yeah,
I've no one else to blame except myself if I'm jarred. But at the same time, I think I'm still okay.
No, you're not. You sound like you're fucked out of your mind. But hey, Del.
Really?
So introduce me to your mate over here. What's he got to say for himself? Larry, come on,
Larry, I hope if you already know of Rollo and his page, fakeologist.com, right?
That's the one.
It's the one man, you know. Come on, Rollo.
I'm going to smoke inside. I'm going to smoke inside.
Is it not enough, right? It's right. I'm going to put my reputation on the line. Is it not enough that I know Larry and I know you and I like both of you and talk to each other there for feck's sake and give me a break?
All right. Okay. Well, you introduced us. So, Larry, when did you meet me, mate?
And no, I want to add a caveat there. Rollo, it's not a fucking interview on Fakeologist. It's just you and Larry. Don't forget you already done a vow of silence for a month. So I won't tell anybody about you lurking around in Dell's hangout talking to Larry. If Larry doesn't say anything, and all the listeners doesn't. All right.
Okay, mate. Okay, mate. Look. I think I stopped the actual because I said I was going to have 3 months off of Fakeologist. So hopefully none of that went out. But most of what happened earlier, that wonderful piece of audio that you did, Del, went out. And Larry, where are you from, mate?
I'm actually in the U.S. I'm in New Jersey. I'm about an hour. I'm about an hour west of New York.
Oh, okay. And have you told us your 9/11 story, or is that all boring for you now, Larry Laws?
Oh, I've been around Del for quite a while. Del knows pretty much everything.
Yeah.
We've actually jammed.
Okay.
Yeah, and you should know that already, Rolo. So we're not doing
Why should I know that already, Del?
because you're a great friend of ours.
Well, I know that. But I just wanted to know, Larry. I was just doing the what do you call it? Look. I'll look down the camera, and look, I've got a cigarette in my mouth, not lit. Look, my wife won't let me smoke in the house. Look, all right, Larry.
Just hang
let
out.
me ask Larry this question.
Sure, go ahead.
What's life? What's life all about, Larry?
What's life all about? Oh, we're getting deeper, right? What's life mean to me? Life is me being me, and being there for my family, my kids. My kids and my family, that's life. And my friends.
Awesome. And how many kids you got, brother?
6.
6?
Yeah.
6? My God, you've been busy. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have, and it's no secret. I mean, I've been around for the circles for quite some time. I have 5 kids with an ex-wife, and I have 1 younger one with an ex-girlfriend. My oldest one just graduated college this year, actually.
That's it. And Dell's got. You've only got 2, brother, haven't you? Twist the camera, Dell. You're sort of half off screen there.
The camera. I've got it here. Can you not see me?
Yeah. See. Yeah, that's all right. How many kids you got, Dell, again?
Okay.
2?
No. Yeah. The freaking.
Here's my kid. Have a look. Here's my kid. Ready?
Yeah.
Have a look on the camera. Ready?
Oh, there you go.
Do you know something? This is fucking the weirdest thing. I don't know if any of you guys or any of the people listen, like have a tablet or and they have like the version of like an audio player, right? You know, the one that comes with. Well, I only find this. It comes with Android, right? And I'm not fucking joking here, man. But any of the stuff that hang on, I'm going to show you, and hopefully you can see this.
Hopefully it's not copyright though, Dale. Don't play anything
No,
copyright.
it's not copyright. Hang on. Do you hear that? Is that copyright?
I can't hear it though.
No, I can't hear it.
Come on, Dale. If it's time to check.
You're listening to Fakeologist audio chat. That bullshit, right? And when I say bullshit, I mean that in the best possible case.
You're right, man.
I love it. Right? But here's the thing, right? It didn't come up there. You see, the whole point of me actually playing stuff like that was to actually show you something that wasn't, and it doesn't happen anymore, which is really weird.
What do you want to play? What do you call it?
No, I'm not joking. Anytime
you're
I clicked on Fakeologist stuff, right, on the tablet, guess what came up? You know the way a picture comes up on the tablet, right? Guess what the picture was?
What was it?
Your lovely dog there.
Oh, really?
I am not joking. I took fucking I took pictures of it, and I'm here trying to show it live, and You see this one, right? Just there. I don't know if you can see that, right?
Oh, you're on the side, Del. Del, move the camera to the to your stage left, so to your right. You understand?
I'll have to get up and move it because literally I was trying to move it with my. I can see me where I am here.
No, just stay where you are. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Oh, mate.
That's okay.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Here he goes. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. What a wonderful man he is.
Actually, if he can just hold the tag.
You went the wrong way. You went the wrong way, Del. Del.
Move the camera.
You moved it the wrong way. You should have moved it the other way.
Camera? Move the microphone? I was moving the fucking.
Oh, fuck it. I'm going to do the same thing.
Out of the way so I could go to the bloody camera to move it.
There we go.
It's okay. Is that all right?
You're fucking crazy, motherfucker. All right. We're both doing the same thing now until we both sort it out. We got an old mate in the middle there.
Look, I wasn't joking when I said I had my guitar beside me. I was just going,
"Ooh, you gonna play a tune?"
Wait, you hear that? No, look, you hear that?
Oh, you finger banging? Yeah, finger banging. I can hear.
Just messing around with the sound. I just said I'll leave it there on the side.
I heard you way before you doing that. It was almost. It was so. What do you call it? Pink Floyd-ish. How are you and Roger Waters not mates? I don't know.
Well,
yeah, I've said. Yeah, I said that before. Actually, yeah.
I'd love to have Roger Waters' bank account.
Oh, fuck off! money.
That was like a nod towards all the bullshitters out there.
It was the first song off their biggest album, was it? Have you seen The Dark Side of the Moon? Is the moon flat or is it a ball? Larry, is the moon flat or a ball in your opinion? Larry.
Well, since we've no one's ever been there, nor have I. I would say from my observation, I would say it's just like a pizza, just like the flat Earth is a pizza.
Okay.
You see this? This is a strange bottle, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that looks like that Gruschlag that we get here in the States. A Gruschlag, I think.
Right? Yeah, you see the one? It's like one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Grulch, go eat your heart out. That's like an actual, ceramic thing. But the content, man.
Yeah, it's
the contents I'm talking about, right? This was a
urine, is it? Is that urine?
No, it's not urine. Now you go bury your head, Rollo, if you thinking it's urine.
Very much.
It's actually my wine, right?
Yeah.
White wine, right?
Wow. In a Grolsch bottle.
No, Grolsch, my arse. These are actual bottles. They're 750 ml wine bottles with said, cap. They're not beer bottles. They're actually created for the purpose. And yeah, you cut me out. Look how much I have left up. I've drank nearly a whole bottle of wine, but my own wine. That's the thing, and that's they. So,
chins up. Well, we're all have we all got a drink. Here we go. Everyone.
Cheers.
That's
I'm actually down to water myself. I actually quit drinking over a week ago.
Oh, did you, Larry?
Oh,
drinking your own urine, or just alcohol?
I quit drinking everything. I just water and power drink. That's it.
Larry, man, that's going to feck up our home brewing recipe.
Listen, I'll still join in. I've got kids that are over 21, so they can have it. That's not a problem.
Nice
Just
one,
not
man.
just not for me. Put together a crew. We're working outside again, and with the heat, with drinking, you get so dehydrated. And I had an episode like a little over a week ago, and it straightened me right out. I'm like, that's it, done. I stopped.
I'm sorry to hear that, man. What happened?
That's a good thing.
No, I don't mean to pray.
No, it just got to the point where you get lightheaded, pass out. I start throwing up the whole 9 yards, heat stroke, the whole thing, and even the guy that I've known I haven't seen him in a couple of years, and he looked at me and he just said, "What is wrong with you?" I mean, I lost weight and everything. So right away, I just changed everything. Everything that I eat, I changed my habits, everything. And it's been a little over a week. I'm actually feeling great now.
And do you think that's because of you drinking alcohol? You had too much, or was that a factor in,
Too much beer. It's because I don't drink I normally don't drink anything hard or wine or anything. It's normally just beer. So just with all the beer that I'm drinking and the quantity that I was consuming is crazy. So I'm done. I'll save money that way. I'll be like Roger Waters. I'll save money.
You should stop watching television as well, because as much as I love his songs, the latest album was the same thing again, just singing about whatever was the big headlines when he was, making his...
Yeah, I like the older Roger Waters stuff, yeah.
Talking about Taekwondo all day and whatnot, yeah. What would you like Roger Waters or him to sing about? Like,
Rolo, why are you always looking forward there? Will you turn around and look at the rest of it?
Yeah. Sing about collapsing towers and how they can't melt from structural failure or whatever.
Yes, in reality,
we're gonna have to sing about that.
No, there's no such thing as space, so we're going to have to pretend we're under the water and you're in Australia.
Yeah, but I'm a Doctor Who fan, Del. I mean, I've got to believe in space and the time vortex and all that.
That's why I said we have to pretend you're in Australia.
All right, man. Thank you, man.
That's good. So Rollo, you're down in Australia, huh?
You betcha.
Excellent.
You bet. Yeah.
No, Larry, don't say down. You see, that's what...
Oh, across.
Larry said
across.
You're freaking out.
Across the pond. That's why we say across the pond, Larry.
Across, yeah, across. I don't know. Old habits are hard to break.
The feckers used to say down under, and what does that mean? I come from a land down under, and they're trying to give you Vegemite and shit.
Can we sing that and not get copyright strike? Can I play Land Down Under and will we get a copyright strike?
I'll tell you.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. There's a little part of that song that goes and in Australia that Kookaburra sits in an old gum tree, and the guys that did Land Down Under, the Irish guy with the funny eyeball, yeah, they screwed him out of like $6 million. $6 million bucks.
It was Men at Work, wasn't it?
Men at Work, that's the one. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, fucking screwed him out of $6 million. Colin Hay.
He had a Vegemite sandwich.
Yeah, that's the one. Vegemite.
And he came from a land of plenty, apparently.
Actually, Del, I'm surprised Rollo hasn't heard any of the jam sessions we did. We probably did about 3 or 4 of them, I think, right?
Yeah. With those guys.
No, just with Joe and myself, just playing around.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear a tune.
Who, me?
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah, smash out a.
I don't
work.
The drums. Yeah, the drums aren't sitting next to me. I'm actually up here. The drums are in the bass.
Drummer, right? Okay. So Del, can you do it on the guitar, man?
No, listen, we're having a relaxed fucking thing because I'm going to be fecking off soon anyway.
All right,
So there's no
Okay.
point. Larry, you relax and stay where you are.
we're all relaxed. We're all
Unless,
relaxed.
unless you're doing, whatever later on. But just for here, yeah, I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot. How about that?
Oh no, I didn't feel on the spot at all. If they were here, I would definitely jam. I took them out because I've got my daughter's actually my middle daughter actually just graduated high school, and she's actually heading to Poland in a few days for like 6 weeks. She got invited to go with the family, all expenses paid. A family that our family knows, and they have relatives there. So she's going across the pond for a few weeks.
Yeah. Well,
So I took everything out of here because it's going to be like a little get together tomorrow and stuff before she goes.
Cool, man.
With Colin Hay, right? And Men at Work, right? Is that what you're saying? That you're buddies with those guys? Right.
What did you think of the stuff I was playing earlier on from, like back in 20 years ago at this stage?
Good. Good. I like it. I was gonna chat about it a little more because it's nice. It's nice to go back and see that with what you know now. It's the old expression: if I knew then what I know now, and you're reversing.
I like that.
Yeah, you're
looking at it with fresh eyes from now back then. But
exactly. That's as you're going. And
different, Larry. Would you do anything different? What would you do?
No, actually, no, because I've used this saying before. You did what you did because at the time that's where you were. You would not have done anything different because you made a decision based on what you knew at the time. In other words, you would not back in time to do something. You would the same outcome would apply.
Exactly. And Rollo, we were just talking about the thing that we were watching, the documentary from Tavistock, from 1997. So actually, what did you think about, man? Just ask Rollo. Or
the round circle. I just thought they had very comfy chairs.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, and I was,
I just thought they had very comfy chairs, and they were talking.
Did you notice? Yeah, what I said was it was like.
Look, when it comes to Diana being killed by that pissed French cunt, have a look at the photos. Do you guys want to hang on for a second? I'll show you a photo. Give me a sec, right? Give me 1 minute.
All right. But like I would still say, like, all that stuff, like what we were watching from 19, they were laying it out. And I actually jokingly said there's a hangout from 1997. But there's the format, 8 chairs, people sitting around, comfy. Ron Johnson with his cigarette. Everything is laid back and mellow. We'll pump this out to the masses, at a late hour. All the conspiracy, we'll weed out the conspiracy heads that are still fucking up and looking at stuff. There you go, man. I'll shut up now, Larry.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, as you were narrating, it went well with actually the two of them. Toward the end, it was getting a little, because obviously everybody's waiting for waiting to either join or you want to move on, and obviously you're tired. It's late there too. So the other ones sounded good because it was kind of a narration as okay, what to look for, and everybody's spotting the same things in the chat. Very, very similar to what you're saying.
It was brilliant when looking at the chat, and that's the thing. I had my keyboard charging I haven't charged it. Do you know something, man? I have that fucking keyboard 2 years or more than 2 years, right? And I've only ever charged it twice. And tonight it was the first time that it actually died when I was actually, trying to type stuff. So I'm doing a hangout and I'm trying to type and it didn't type. So, literally, it's weird. So I just plugged it in and I'm charging that up. So apologies for people in the chat. I wasn't ignoring you. I just couldn't fucking type. So
Yeah, I don't think anybody really. I know you couldn't see it there for a little bit, and then you couldn't type it, and then the screen locked up. There wasn't anybody in there really. You explained it as you were, because you were still live on the broadcast, so everybody understood that. To people watching, people chatting.
that's the one that doesn't bother me, man. Like a few people, it's somewhere to hang, and
All right, how about this one, guys? How about this time, guys?
Roller, man.
Oh, look on the screen.
I see Harold. I see 9/11.
Yeah, that was September 12th. September 12th. So, and do you know 9/11 happened here at 10 p.m. on that evening?
If it's something like the moon lands and everything else,
local time.
You probably heard about it a fucking day before it happened.
He's one of my favorite radio hosts.
I'm being facetious.
Millions lost.
I mean,
you know him? Yeah. All right. Now, what were we looking for? I forgot what we were looking for again. Oh, I remember this guy. Oh, here we go. I found it. I found it. Here we go. That was the headline. There you go. I've got it. The newspaper.
Oh, I need that, man.
I've got it. See? You see it?
Yeah.
Here we go. It's September 1st, 1997. There we go. Have a look.
See?
Have a look.
There you go.
That's the newspaper in Australia, right?
Yeah.
You see, I've still got it. Yeah. I keep the ones that are important. And now, what do you want me to read about this?
I want anyone who's out there to fucking see that. Let me just share your screen there.
Yeah, you can share it. Share it.
Hang on. Just,
you want me to put it closer?
I'm presenting to everyone now. Now, see there, Diana dies. Actual photograph or actual news.
Oh, you want a photograph? Or in the paper?
Rollo, actual newspaper from 1990.
There it is. There it is. Here we go. I've got it in the newspaper. There you go. Ready? There's the car crash. There's the car crash. Now have a look how ridiculous that car crash picture is. See, it's like a cartoon car crash.
That's the psyop in paper print.
You want me to read the front page? You want me to read the front page? Princess and Dodie killed in car crash. Charles breaks his son.
Rollo, before you actually do that, can you do one thing on this hangout?
Yeah, anything you want.
Before you read that, and it'll actually be a segue into reading it. Do your rant. It's all fake because
it's all fake. Because
no, I hate to say that in the thing, but the caveat, you know what I mean?
Right.
Right. Go on.
We're on fakeologist.com. And here we are.
We're also on, Dell's Pub Locking.
Dell's Pub Locking. Yeah, Diana's. All right. Do you want me to read the first inside page? All right. I'm not that good a reader, but Princess Di killed in Paris car crash. Princess Diana was killed with her companion Dodie Fayed in a high-speed car crash as paparazzi photographers on motorcycles chased them into a Paris road tunnel yesterday. the Mercedes that they were traveling in blew up when it struck the pillar in the tunnel as they crossed the River Seine. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. From the Eiffel Tower from about midnight, police said. Okay, ambulance workers revived 36-year-old Diana, and surgeons opened her chest and massaged her heart for about 2 hours. Now, hold on, get this. For about 2 hours, but their effort was in vain. Ambulance workers, can you see this? And they've got all this information.
Yeah.
Like next day. Yeah. I should put it on. Yeah, but I still got this. Yeah.
You should do a post on Fakeologist, man.
Yeah.
Some of it should be already there, and it's like what, the 25th anniversary or something.
I like the part. I think it was Rollo when he read the first or second line.
Mm-hmm.
Blew up on impact because it struck. All right, wait. Well, the
All
engine.
right, I'll come back to it.
Yeah. Well, the engine's in the front. So if it would have slammed into the column as fast as it was going, and it was close to 100 miles an hour, I think, or something, right? Wasn't it, or something?
Let me just put that up to the camera again.
Yes.
Look at that ridiculous camera shot. You see it's a cartoon. See the cartoon shot? Like the square?
Yeah.
There. See,
that wouldn't be there. That whole front end would be wiped off the front of the car.
Man, it was the 13th column, and they had other columns.
I think I got it wrong. Let me just put it very, very carefully. Someone take a screen capture of that, Del. Ready?
Hang on, man.
Larry, take a screen capture. You see it?
I have to open up program. Hang on. I've got photographs of that. There you go.
Yeah.
Took a screenshot of that.
You took a screenshot, did you? Good on you, brother. Look at my little puppy. What? This is my Diana.
Man, your puppy freaking turns up anytime.
Good on you.
It's weird. It's on Fakeologist or
I've got a what's this?
Posters, and a picture of the original picture that you had as a thumbnail when you got your little pooch, your new dog. What, about a year ago now?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, his little face appears every time I play a bloody on my tablet. It's like as if it's stuck in the cookies or whatever, and I just leave it there, man. It's so weird. Every time it's not weird. It was weird at the beginning, but yeah, it's like a little reminder of Rollo's.
You're a good man.
Yeah.
Since Rollo put his up for Princess Diana, I've actually got the commemorative album from 1972 for NASA.
Okay.
Let's see.
There they amalgamate both ends of it.
Talk, Larry, while you put it up. Otherwise, we can't get it on the big screen. Talk.
Oh, okay.
Check 1 2. Say check 1 2. Yeah. Yep. There we go.
Check 1 2.
Now, what is that?
Yeah. That's actually the cover where it actually has the Apollo missions on. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little shiny. It's got the Apollo missions listed there. It's the commemorative book from 1960. It's got the Apollo flights 8, 9, 10, 11. And actually, you can save 20 cents on a colored 16 by 20 portrait if you want to order it. So there's.
There we go.
There's that's one of the pictures. It's one of the photographs there, and underneath it's got a, of what we're looking at here, which is hard, of course it's hard to read. I've actually got to do maybe something and kind of put it out there on the. Let's see, December 21st, 68, Cape Kennedy, 7.5 million pounds. The Saturn V rocket that is, or that was that you just.
Work for NASA, Larry? Did you work for NASA?
Who, me? No. Oh, hell no.
Larry,
no. Why are you showing these photos? Like, I mean, just to be rude.
Well, actually, my mom got this for me, and she saved it and gave it to me. She's been passed now.
Mom's still with us? She's passed away.
No, mom's passed a couple years ago.
Okay.
The thing is, when I started looking into some of the investigating on some of the, maybe I pull this back a little bit. Here we go. Some of the investigating that everybody was doing, and they're pulling out these photos, and everybody is like, okay, well, you saw it on the internet. Oh, I've actually got the photo album. And that's the actual photograph that the CGI'd or painting that they used. That particular one.
How about this one? How about this? This is Newcastle Herald.
Mm-hmm.
Now have a look at that closely.
Hang
All
on.
right. See what date that is.
That one. Hang on.
Now have a look at the front. Yeah, I know it's disturbing, but have a look at it. Do you get that? Do you get a screen capture of that? That's
again.
Well, that's September 12th. Remember this action happened like 11 o'clock our time. In the PM. We got that.
The Australians heard about fucking John F. Kennedy being shot.
Yeah, I know. But look at that. We got that.
And
look at that.
He was.
It
was bullshit. You know?
How is that possible? How is that possible on the front page of a newspaper when the what happened? Look, here it is.
It was.
September 12th.
Chinese with directed energy.
I'll show it close. Here we go. I don't know if it works close.
I'm joking. But
I'm just telling you, it's impossible.
They're taking the piss big time. You know, they really are.
There we go.
But that one's the most horrific one. That one, I think that one's horrific. That America's terror, and then they started the war on terror. Yeah, probably. What about that one there?
What's interesting in the NASA book, and I'm not a NASA guy whatsoever. Actually,
yeah, we didn't get it. Go.
Actually, if you want to ask about NASA stuff, Jimmy Jedi, he's the one that is really keyed in on a lot of the NASA stuff. I just happen to have the book, and I'm actually reading on the bottom, and for some reason, between 8, 9, 10, and 11 mission, the moon miles closer by their own definition in the bottom of the book. When you read it, it's actually changed 30,000 miles within those 4 missions. It gets closer and then further away.
Yeah. Ridiculous. We went to the moon. When missiles, whatever, those things that they send them up into the air, all they can do is go up and then come down.
Yeah.
It's like it's so idiotic that you think that those things. I don't know. I don't pretend to know what outer space is, but I know when you send a goddamn missile up, it just it's gonna come. It's like when have you got a gun, right? Bang! That fucking bullet's coming down somewhere.
It arcs away. It always arcs away. Right?
Arcs.
It goes. Look, they're sending rockets, and then they bullshit us. You know.
Oh yeah.
Over the curve. What fucking curve? It's bullshit. But they arc away and land in the fucking soup, and that's why they have fucking.
That's why the NASA has to do the vomit comet to try and make us believe. Or now they've got everything where they can. I could make this dog float in air. Like if I pick this dog up, right, and put it there, it would float in air. If you took me out of the shot, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Why
do they do that to us? Why do they lie to us, Del?
Look, man, it's a collection of. You're asking me why they? Because they can, because they're getting away with it. But if you're talking about NASA and all this shit we see, that's just another extension.
Larry,
of the
why do they lie to us, man?
Man, it's all an extension of the television.
Extension of what?
Everything else that they're giving, right, to us. That's what the bullshit is, right? But anyway, there's no point in me.
I'm still young, I think, Del and Larry. Why do they lie to us, brother?
Why do they lie to us? The age-old question. Follow the money. Follow the money.
Seek people that are looking for truth and run a fucking mile from them who say they have it. Because that's what I've seen. And you know, go, find out who did that. And by the way,
here's a classic newspaper.
I'm a bit drunk at the moment, but it's
No, you're right. You're right. Classic.
I'm drunk on my own bloody stuff.
Take a screen capture of that.
Yeah. Let's do fucking
sing a song. Sing along. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we'll do a stage.
Hold on. I can't smoke inside. So I'll go on mute. But you guys have a chat, and I'll come back and have a sing. Make sure you can sing a song that I know. All right.
And I want to see, man, to tell you the truth, I have to go to bed. I'm knackered. So, I know, seriously, guys. I know it's my own hangout, but
that's okay. Don't worry about it. When Rollo comes back, just you guys just jam a tune, and then we'll say goodnight to everybody. And until next time.
Yeah. And Larry, you be on drums as well, or is it like earlier on? It's just too much.
Oh no! Actually, if you look, the drums were right here. Remember? They're gone. They're back down. They're back downstairs. Actually.
Yeah.
So I might do I might do a jam on Saturday on my channel though, because I reconnected the whole set. Like that was only half. So I reconnected.
Hear that?
The whole thing
That's
down.
just me hitting. I'm sorry, Lar.
No, that's all right.
I'm hitting off the guitar.
Yeah, I reconnected the whole thing downstairs. So Saturday afternoon, I will be here probably just by myself without the kids, and I might hook up the laptop to film it and just do like a drum off, just do like a regular practice jam or something.
That'd be cool. Well, man, I don't know if I'll be there at that time, but I will try. And
okay,
I'll just sort of play whatever I can to, join in.
Sure. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Now
it'll probably be let's see, it'll probably afternoon here. It'll probably be like afternoon 2, 3, 4. So that'll be like 8, 9, 10 p.m. your time, somewhere in there.
9 or 10 tomorrow. Saturday.
Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, that'd be, because you're like you're 5 hours ahead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5, I think.
Oh, 5 hours.
And we're 11 hours ahead. What? 10?
Rollo is still here, despite 9 hours.
I'll put my camera back. There it is.
I know. Larry, I aim to do that, man. It would be fucking cool. We can have a, proper sing along.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
Oh, sorry, Larry. Were you going to have a sing?
No. I'm talking about Saturday. Roll up because Saturday I'll
look.
I'm in front of my set and everything, and then if Rolla, if you're around too, of course anybody's.
I'll listen in. Yeah.
Well, you can stream it on Fakeologist as well at the same time.
Oh, how I wish you were here. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sing that before I feck off. Right.
Okay, go ahead.
You right. Right, and I'm going to turn off the spooky haunted house. You hear that weird stuff?
I wanted to say hi to Scout. Scout jumped in also, so I just wanted to say hi before I mute.
Scout. How you doing, Larry?
Here he goes.
Yeah, I can't even find me feckin' plectrums, you know?
I could find a plectrum, a famous plectrum. Hold on, I know where it is. Hold on.
I'll just play it with me feckin'
it's a Pink Floyd one. Here we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I should find a plectrum, shouldn't I? But at the same time, I'm fecking off now in a few minutes anyway. So I'll just play it.
Someone gave it to me once. Can you have a look at that? See that?
No.
Was that good? Wish I could pull my piano up and we could do the piano as well.
Yeah, you see, that's how, you know.
Keep going.
Is it is, you know? See how fucking out.
No. I was waiting for it. And how I wish. We're just two lost souls
swimming in a fishbowl. Year after year.
I know the seas. How
same old, yeah.
Wish you were here. Did they get you to trade?
That's just right.
Your hero
goes
hot ashes for trees. Hot air for a cool breeze. Oh, come for change.
Did you
exchange? Legs up.
You
walk on God in the warm lead row.
wish you were here. Wish your soul and soul turn in a fishbowl year after year, running on the same old ground. I would same old fear. Oh, that's weird, isn't it?
Absolute gold. Thank you. Thank you, Del. Del? You're a
No,
fucking
yeah,
champ.
I'm here.
Are we down the same old fears?
Wish
you were here. Did I get you to trade? I love it. And, hold on, we got someone new. Who else we got here?
Eyelashes for trees.
Sorry.
Coke up of a chair. Did you exchange your walk on by the wall? Leave on the cage. June your guitar. June, 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 June. All right, man.
That's awesome. Hey, Del.
Yeah, Rollo, that's it.
We've got a new fella here. Should we get introduced?
I already introduced the Perrys.
Oh, is that Barry? The fella there with the goatee and looks like a mean motherfucker, right?
It's Scout. Yeah, that's Scout. He's on the. Yeah, he did it before.
Oh, okay, cool.
Come Scout.
Oh, there he is.
I know.
I like the swastika up in the top right.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. Okay. You got no problems with Hitler, right?
Not at all.
Yeah. Did he murder any Jews?
Probably. I
In
think
gas,
it's
in gas chambers, though.
uh,
No way.
no, not like the ones they tell us about.
No.
And Hitler and I share the same birthday.
Can we not just agree at this stage, right?
Will you get in shot? Hey, Del, you're out of shot.
No, Rollo. Recognize the magnitude of this hang-up, and at best, Hitler was an actor.
Oh yeah,
and all that entails, and at worst, Status Quo territory. Either way, you know what I mean? We're beyond the narrative of World War II, even though we're still living in the narrative of World War II.
Well, do you know what I read on the news today, Del? the news today. Prince Harry is apparently said that he doesn't even want to. If he even wanted to be a part of the what do you call it? The British establishment, they don't want to do it anymore. Do you know what I mean? The girl, I'll call her the
I
queen.
wouldn't blame them. I wouldn't
They
blame
don't want the job. They don't want the job.
Yeah.
Not in this day and age when we can do what we do now. Talk freely about how ridiculous they are, and they're Germans, as we know. We know they're Germans. Come on.
Look, man, I see the lies. I just not going along with the lies anymore. So there you go. And then at the
You're a
end
bit
of the day, then it's who is trying to fool me. You know, that's all it is.
We're all just trying to fool ourselves, but who
Everyone-
wants to rule? Who wants to rule?
Rolo, man. Everyone should be saying that to themselves as well. You know, you gotta fucking see, you know who's trying to bullshit you. And, you know, that's it.
Fair enough. Okay, who
another one. Anyway, I'll shut up now. And
Cheer
welcome.
up, brother. Cheer up, brother. You know what? Life is awesome. Because we're not dead, right? Jesus Christ. Yeah, we're still alive. Fuck, man.
Well, I know.
I'm going to go and do a whole bunch of coke.
As far as I can see, there's a right. Other lad's still there. Larry is still there. And chat away, guys.
Well, actually, Dale, I'm going to let you go so you can get some sleep because you said after your song you look pretty tired.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm curious to see the other dude who just appeared there as well. But you know, it's all freaking, you know.
Del, I like the video that you did a while back with the junk mail that you were getting, and you crossed off everything with the return address or whatever it was. You said, "I don't understand you," or that was really good. I like that.
I mean, I've been doing that since 2010. Yeah. Just fucking return to standard. That's all it is. You don't even yeah. I just showed people what I did and what I do. You know? But if you want to know more about it, we'll talk about it sometime. How about that?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna let Del get some sleep. Yeah, nice to meet you. I've seen you in chat, obviously, and Roll. I'll wait till Roll gets back on. There he is.
Larry, thanks, man, for appearing.
Oh, no problem.
And I'm looking forward to the next time we have a good jam. You know?
Yeah, actually, I'll send you a message or something because it'll be like Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening for you there. And kind of go from there. Roll, nice to meet you. Again, Scout.
Thank you, man. You're the best.
Well, I'll go out.
And
I'll go out of my way, man, to be around Saturday evening. We'll make a contact. And
yeah,
we'll just fucking do it. Jam away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, get some sleep so you're up for the jam.
Take care.
All right, we'll see you guys soon. Be good.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Good man. You go sleep now, and I probably won't go to bed for another half an hour. But let me say good night to the rest of you.
Good on you, Del.
I know.
Here we are on fakeologist.com. If I'll play this in an hour or two.
don't forget to mention Outside Radio as well.
Outside Radio, of course.
Yeah, and Delacroix, and all that good shit. But I know, all joking aside, I look forward to having the jam with Larry on Saturday. And I'm going to feck off now. So take care, guys.
Why didn't you send John Levon the link? Why didn't you send John Levon the link? I would have.
Look, man, will you stop? John Levon has enough fecking publicity, right? He's not going to get anything.
Yeah.
And I'm going to feck off now. All right.
All right. It's been awesome talking to you, Dale.
Yeah. You too, Rollo, and you keep keeping on out there, man.
Keep it real. Keep it real for you, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Good stuff, Rollo. Mind yourself. And everybody out there as well. I can't type into the chat box, but do know that I can say good night to each and every one of you. You're a good bunch of people.
Yeah.
All right.
Here we go.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.